Sounds like an internet blip.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, so the stream should be refreshing.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, yeah. Well, that kind of sucks. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. You can continue. My bad.
I gotta say that kind of limitation is kind of a problem for just like playing as a bard as well. Because if you've got like a 3-hour set, you better have made sure that everything that's on your list you've played before, because there's so many midis that you can download, even from like Final Fantasy XIV curated places, that once you play them, they sound horrible, and everyone around you is like, "What are you doing?" And so it takes so much prep. It takes a lot of time being a bard to know like all of the songs that actually sound good, because there's just so many poor quality midis out there. So you kind of have to curate your own list.
Oh yeah.
that's part of it is that the editing process is very subjective. There's really no one single correct way to do anything. So you get a lot of variations like that, just different people with different ideas of how to adapt midis to the game.
Yeah, I think sometimes they kind of. I think that's probably like a lazy way of doing it as well. Like I think maybe some people starting out, or maybe some people will just kind of wanted like a quick conversion of it, like took some real song and pushed it through like a MIDI converter or something, and then released that. I've definitely had some MIDIs before that I've downloaded, and they've been absolutely terrible. And it might be like the first time I played it or something. Maybe I'm running out of music for the theme I'm trying to play, and it doesn't sound very good. And it just kind of throws everybody off. Everybody off.
Yeah, I've seen my fair share of those as well.
And some of that even isn't the fault of the editor. It could even be a change in the software. Like we used to use a different program, a lot of us 3 or 4 years ago, compared to what we use now. And just they keep patching the game, and the way these programs interact with the game, as we all know, with third-party things, isn't consistent from patch to patch. And there's some songs that were made 3 or 4 years ago that sound different than they do now if you play them with the new players, especially for solos.
Oh yeah.
Just a lot of those solos were made in the very oldest Bard software that we had, and it was kind of jank, and some of the instruments even sound different. They changed some of the sound samples years back.
Yeah, I try to make my own edits to be sort of tool agnostic, and I test them in 2 different players. But yeah, over time, things can change. So my oldest stuff probably doesn't sound the way it did with the old tools we had at the time.
Yeah, because there's been
I've heard a few of mine even where I just like, oh, that's not quite right. It just irritates me, and I have to redo the song now because it doesn't fit now with the way the new programs work.
Yeah, every time
Yeah,
I get
also
updated.
the different players, some of them have different features too. So if somebody did an edit to work in one player, it might sound different, or maybe even not work at all in another. So that's another thing.
And I guess now we can start going into some more questions and stuff for the bards and the DJs here with us today. Since this next question is aimed at bards, would you like to ask it, Plushie?
Well, if we have our bards on the roll, we may as well keep going on that.
Yeah. But would you like to ask the question since you're a big bard supporter right now?
Sure. Give me one sec here. I'm so excited. I'm a hardcore bard venue, so seeing more bards for me is just truly a super high point. But for the bards, I know that you all kind of have your own set of challenges, like MIDI editing, composition, getting rid of note doubling, things like that. So do either of you have insight for people into what the MIDI editing process really kind of looks like at its core, like foundationally? I feel like many people may not even have a clue, and it'll help shed some light on the core aspect of what makes Bards tick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start the one thing that I would say is just to find an existing MIDI, open it up, and just start tinkering and save off it, and just see when you change something, how does that change the song? Even if you don't have a music background, you can just kind of tinker and get a sense of what music we're capable of making and what a 3-octave range sounds like, even if you don't know what an octave is, so to speak. Yeah, and just how drums work, because MIDI drums are nothing like Final Fantasy drums, and that's something, unless you find a guide somewhere, you're not going to know unless you just sit there and kind of like lab it out and play around with the sounds you can make. But that's the number one, is just don't never stop experimenting.
Well, actually, Eltana's put together a series of videos that's pretty much where I point every new Bard editor, just to get the basics.
Oh, you made a video series about it?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not super good at self promotion. I'm sorry, but yeah, yeah, I make a tutorial guide. There's like I have 9 videos now that are just kind of like basic functions on how the music system works here and how to get started in MIDI editing. Nothing too complex, but enough to get you started if you don't have a music background.
Can we
Uh,
get a link to those videos
uh,
so that people we
Yeah,
can post on Pister or Twitch, so that if people wanted to look those up and maybe put them here somewhere in one of the channels, that way those in the radio station can use those for references.
yeah, just throw them into the
sure. I'll see
media
if I can
content
find one.
channel and just post a link in there.
Yeah, so they are on a separate channel. Long story short, Square Enix doesn't like Bards posting videos on YouTube, and my channel got destroyed essentially by Square Enix manually claiming it. So I have
Oh,
someone else post it.
Mm,
I'm trying to find the link for y'all now.
all good, all good.
all right, and I'll
I can
go.
Wait,
imagine that it's
wait, wait,
probably
wait,
really
wait.
hard to function with
Did
Square
I
Enix breathing down your back like that.
did I hear that correctly in you saying that Square Enix removed the videos on YouTube?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they don't hit
Yeah.
everybody. Most people can point them just fine, but they were
Yeah.
kind of messing with me for a couple of years straight, and eventually they just copyright struck me ×3, accounts deleted. I can't even, my smart TV can't even log into YouTube anymore because Square Enix banned my channel for posting music videos. That's literally all they were music videos too. But they just, because of their copyright music restrictions or whatnot, they just don't like it.
Well then.
Would that affect Twitch streams as well then?
well, for Twitch streams and stuff, we don't use VODs, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, I mean like just yeah. If you're a DJ, yeah, but I've seen like venues Twitch stream bards before.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that
Like the
conversation here in a bit too.
songbirds. The songbirds are usually live on Twitch.
Oh, I didn't even know they were on
Giggles would
Twitch.
be a good example of that. The first one that comes to the top of my mind. I know he streams every performance. He even has a little biggie cam that I almost ban every single day I see him. Freaking love that guy. Phenomenal dude.
Yeah, I mean it's classic YouTube selective enforcement, I guess. I always hear about that stuff from big creators saying that stuff gets copyright claim because they just get picked out of the bunch, and maybe that's just what happened to me. Yeah, I would get one video would get to the 10,000s range, and then a manual Enix claim would copyright strike 2 of the videos, but not 3, which is kind of like them saying, "Hey, stop it." They're sending you a warning because 3 deletes your channel. And then the copyright strike would wear off, and a little bit later, one of the videos would hit good numbers again, and they do it again. And the third time, they just hit me with all 3 at once.
Yeah, that's rough. I wish they'd be a little bit more lenient with that, cut us some slack.
Yeah, I mean, most people seem to get away with it. I don't know what they had against me, but I went through jumping through all the hoops and posting all the copyright disclaimers and that, but whatever. Maybe just someone had to hit their quota that day.
They needed those
Yeah, on
copyright
my
strike quota.
yeah, like my own channel, I've never had any problem, and I even one of the very first videos I uploaded was a Metallica song, specifically because they would probably be the most likely band that I could think of to go after someone posting their music. And I've got nothing.
It's really just unfortunate RNG at its core. But I'm
It
really
really
sorry
is.
to hear that's been the general experience for you.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, thankfully it's not. I seem to be, for whatever reason, exception to the rule. Most people, unless they're super flagrant, I guess, get left alone. So If I'm the sacrifice, I'll take it. Leaves me more time to make more songs.
And provide more music for the scene. And did Sky already answer too? Oh wait, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, challenges. I sort of explained it a little bit earlier. When we were talking about editing, and actually my approach to editing is a little bit backwards from a lot of other editors, because my band is a RP band. Each member is their own RP character in their own right. So they all have specific roles. They all have instruments that they know how to play. So my approach is this is how Void Set would cover the song. They have these instruments. How would I map it to what they can do? So it's backwards for most parts, but I like to think that approach kind of gives me a sort of a uniform style across the songs also.
Yeah, it's like my favorite thing about Sky's band is the RP. Having each member have like their own little personalities and they each play an instrument and they play it on the guitar, and if that part can't put it on the guitar, too bad, they're gonna play it on the guitar anyway, because that guy's a guitarist. I love that.
Yeah, that's recently I did Locomotive Breath by Jethro Tull, and there's a flute solo there in the middle. Well, my guitarist Kitty Parmesan, she doesn't know how to play flute, so it's a guitar solo now.
That's pretty awesome improvised though.
My favorite thing when I discovered the whole synchronize thing was like I get me and a friend to pick a song. We'd like do the same track. We've had 2 tracks we'd do on each, and we'd just go and pop up in the middle of Gridania or something, and we would position not next to each other but surrounding people, so they suddenly got like a 3D effect. Like a surround sound of this song randomly playing around them, and it was like a surprise, and I thought that was kind of cool. Every once in a while you just get people just standing in the middle kind of getting immersed by it.
That's pretty awesome though.
Get enough people, you could just like line the walls of a venue with bards, just get like true surround sound experience.
Oh my god. Could you imagine a surround sound smoke alarm experience? That would be fucking surreal.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, somebody out there do that.
Around Limsa.
Oh god, no.
Oh, that'd be terrible.
But you know what? Jokes and memes aside, for the DJs that are here, I know you guys don't tend to use like midis and things like that for your music. You guys hand mix everything lovingly and curated. Can you guys talk a little bit about how you build that, how you build like your sets, and how you make music and what the process looks like, since it's so different for your venues and gigs?
Well, I can start this one up. So basically, every DJ does it differently. We all have our various of mixing, but it all comes down to genre play. Some genres mix with others, some don't. And how most people will generally build their set lists is based off something that can flow very well into another. But it also comes down to tempo and beat. And of course, we have to make sure the overall crowd of a venue is up on the hype. So if when a song doesn't stand out and you can see the crowd starting to fade out a little bit, we have to kind of bring it back. And normally we do this with high energy music. So it can go from high energy for 2 songs, drop to low to kind of give it a break, and then jump back up, because too much high energy music can cause headaches. And that's when people normally will kind of divert away to something that's less stimulating to the senses. In my personal take, I am very high energy. I have various amounts of heavy bass music, so I have to kind of watch where I fall. And some bass music has a long-standing pause of just tempo, so it can give everyone a time a little bit to relax.
That's really interesting, actually. How do you incorporate like requests and things if you do that?
Well, normally requests, we basically request everything. Some DJs have more limitations on those requests, so it's like it has to be in the same genre. And other DJs like myself will request anything, and it's just a matter of finding the right spot in the song to cut off, fade out, or break start the entire song. To which you can then just kind of fade in the new song and play.
And then you got me on the other side of the spectrum. That's like a wild card. I will cater to like a venue's needs when it comes to the music, but most of the time I'm just going to do my own thing and play some like the wildest music for no reason whatsoever. Like the show I have tonight, I've got some new songs and stuff I did this week that don't really go together, but that fucking banger, all right, it's gonna be fun.
I think the biggest thing is just getting creative. You got to just find out where the song sticks.
I turned Fleetwood Mac into a gangster. Oh man. What about you, Flawless?
Oh, I think Flannis died.
Oh, Flannis died. No, that is.
London.
Yeah, they kind of just disconnected.
London claimed them.
That is not good.
Well, what about our other DJ, Gremlin Lala, hiding in the corner?
Yeah, she over there hiding in the
Honestly,
corner.
I'm really curious to hear just the other side of this, considering I've been so immersed in one half of it. I never really get to hear about like what goes on behind the decks. So I'm just super nosy.
I completely agree with Vox. You got to find things that flow together because if not, then it sounds clunky and you'll know it's off. I was taught you want it to be seamless as if you were in a club because everybody's dancing and you know how like everybody will be dancing, they'll be in their own groove, they'll have their vibe going, and then a song comes on that just goes, huh? And it just makes you stop. And if you're not careful, it can make you stop in a good way, or it can make you stop to maybe I don't want to dance anymore. How I do things is I create, it's not a playlist. I hate that word because a playlist is you put all your songs, you hit play, you walk away. I do kind of like a band set list. Like I know I want to play song A because it will go with song B, which will then in turn to go to song C. But then there's times where I'm like, okay, I have all this set list, and then I'll just go off the rails because I don't want to play it anymore. Because you have to feel out the vibe of the club. Cool down songs are a must, like Vox said. Usually you'll hear me do 2 to 3 really high energy in your face, screaming at you. And then something that might has a little bit of a temper down, just so you can catch your breath. And I want you to catch your breath because I like the shock value. Go back to you. Now, if people are in my chat saying, oh, yeah, this is a banger, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep going faster, then of course, I'm going to take out those cool down songs and I'm going to keep speeding the train forward. The other thing is tempo. As Vox said, some songs you can adjust your tempo. You can make them a little faster. So if it's at, say, like 160, I've bumped things up to 190 just because it sounded better because it's too slow. And I play to the club. So usually when I sit down, I'll ask the manager or the owner, can we sit down? I have questions. And on my form, it will say, what style of music do you want? They don't have like a particular genre. I'll be like, okay, what is the vibe you're looking for? Are you a club? Are you more relaxed? Are you heavy, like dark, rock and roll, goth, industrial, punk? Or do you want like techno, high energy, dance? And I'll be like, okay. And if they say, well, we don't know, I'll be like, well, who am I playing with? And usually I try to catch the DJ set. So if I'm going with Flannis or Vox, I'll be like, okay. So Vox, you're playing a lot of heavy bass. And I'm like, all right, what can I play that will complement him? So when people raid into my stream, we keep that vibe going. And I don't play the same as Vox. Vox, sometimes stuff is a little heavier even for me. So I might switch up to like a techno mix, but the bass and the vibe is there and people can continue writing that high. I always stay in contact. I tell the managers, hey, if you don't like something I'm playing, DM me and I'll switch it up. And as for requests, I will go ahead of time and I'll be like, hey, is there anything that your club wants to hear? Are there any songs that you like? Case in point, the club that I'm playing with tonight, I sadly wasn't able to get the music they wanted. They have 2 songs they want me to mix in. So I'm probably going to do it next week because of the type of songs, but I'll try to always get what they want. And if it's a special occasion, AKA birthday, eternal bonding, I will sit with the bride and groom and be like, what type of music do you like? Are there any particular songs that you two find special? Because it's your special day. I'm playing for you. In the end, I can listen to my iPod. I don't need to play on Twitch for myself. So everything is catered to the viewers, to the clubs, to the fans. And that's how I think music should be. Because if they're not happy, I'm not going to be happy. And if the club's not happy, they're not going to hire my ass back. And, but in the end, it is just about fun. Some of the weird ones were the guy liked Chris Brown and different music of the R&B genre, and his wife liked deathcore. So I found some popular R&B songs that were turned into deathcore, and I had to just find a place where I could fade it out and put it in, and it worked. And that was the weirdest that I ever had. So fun, making people happy, making people want to come back. Those are your 3 elements.
Yeah, and that pretty much leads us right into like the whole next question thing. With it's most important. The one thing we can agree on is that music in the FF venues is a wonderful thing. I'm sure both the people inside the venues enjoying the music, whether it's a bard or a DJ, it just provides the communities with a lot of fun out there. I'm sure everybody here agrees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very non-controversial
Out of
statement, I
spite,
think.
no.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just say no?
Out of spite.
Yeah, I think
Only because you're asking. For everybody else, yes.
Oh.
For you, no.
Oh.
Just to be difficult.
Just to bully me just a little bit. Okay. I mean, that's fine. And I guess we can.
No, I mean, this community always amazes me with the ways that we find to entertain ourselves, as long as you don't bug anybody else. Like, I love it. Any kind of music, all these crazy RP venues, all the weird things people come up with safe for work. I've got a bunch of friends going to Fish Fest today. Like, I love our community, and sharing is probably one of the best parts of it. I mean, that's where I spend most of my time. So that's the true end game.
Yeah, and then even today we still have the other kind of music that we can't talk about, of course, for all the obvious reasons. But that's also making a splash in the scene too, I've seen. If you know, you know. If you don't, then
Wait, maybe that was too Zoomer coded. I have no idea what the fuck you're
I
talking
have no
about.
idea
Are
what you're
these
talking
I
about
have no
Moon
either.
idea
Magic
what you're
dance
talking
music?
about.
we're talking about the things that we can't talk about,
Moon music?
Yeah.
Music?
Yeah. That new kind of music.
Am I stupid? Like,
I think
No,
I'm stupid
literally,
too.
I'm like,
Alright, okay,
what?
think DJ, but in game.
Yeah.
Merge
right,
Twitch
right.
DJ and the game together. You don't need a browser.
Right.
Oh,
That's
yep.
true. There's been a fucking popularity surge of that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I've
I
started seeing
didn't
that
catch
around.
what
Yeah.
I didn't catch what Kana said. I'm turning her up more. I have no idea. So you guys lost me. I do me.
Moon DJs.
The DJ's connected to the Wi-Fi.
Lots of moon
Yep.
DJs.
They're
Yes.
basically
Mhm.
what I've heard as is they're just siphoning off the router.
There we go.
You just need to
Yep,
change the
you could have just
password.
said that.
I feel so stupid. Oh my
The thing
God.
is, doing a lot of research, it's not that issue that's the issue. It's when you are presenting with not safe for work things. It's not the Wi-Fi that's the issue. It's the, oh shit, that shouldn't be there.
I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing still.
Yeah, sort of, but not really. The same general thing, just a different part of it.
Can I ask an open question? Actually, I don't know if you're going to ask this.
Yeah. What you got?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll ask this for Bards and DJs, but what is the most common misconception about what you do?
For more, I'll start. I'll. Yeah, you go for it.
Yeah, I'd say for Bards, that's easy. There are a lot of people think that you can just download any MIDI at all from anywhere, or even convert an MP3 and just hit play and it'll work. A lot of people they don't have no concept of what it takes to actually make something that will work and sound decent in the game.
Yeah, I've heard about
Yeah,
that
the
too.
old "you're just the bot" complaint.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
about that a lot.
Yeah, I actually have a stalker on Reddit that I got into
What
at one
the
time.
fuck?
Oh damn, you made it to Reddit?
Reddit is what?
Reddit does not like
Yeah.
Bards. I'll tell you that right now. The main FF14 sub
What?
does not like us.
Yeah, it's
Why?
on
Are they
Reddit.
stupid?
I'd say most of the Redditors are just kind of tolerant and in a kind of a live and let live kind of way. But there's a very small but very vocal subsection that really hate Bards, and I seem to have made an enemy of one of them.
Ah,
Yeah, they'll follow me around and downvote me in other subreddits and stuff too.
What
damn.
the
Oh,
fuck?
we also must realize this is Reddit. Reddit
Yeah, it is
is
Reddit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the shit show.
it's
It's
just
the shit
Reddit.
show of the internet. So
But yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
lose
think
some
Reddit's
sleep
become
over
the new
any of that.
4chan. That's all there is to it.
I think so too. Yeah.
Literally.
But when it comes to DJs on this question, it's mostly it comes down to when a DJ has stems or not. If a DJ doesn't have a camera or there's stems playing on screen, most of the time people will assume they're just running a playlist and they're not
Oh,
actually doing
God.
the work, or they're running
Yeah.
something they downloaded that is basically a 1 hour set that just self plays.
I run into that.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that one too. And most things is a lot of people don't show their stems. It could be for various reasons. They don't know how to set them up, or
Mhm.
camera wise, they don't want to showcase anything. Like me, I don't have a camera. My entire shtick is I am just the voice and the music. It's always this way it's going to be. Vox is just the idea of Vox is that he could be anyone. Vox is everyone. He is basically the voice of music to what this community is hopefully striving to become. We just join a vibe. And I've been called out before about like I am running a playlist or I am running pre-downloaded set lists.
I think we all have.
And then I just correct them and I'm like, yeah, look, just hear this and I'll fuck up on purpose because just to make a point.
I've run into that. I finally figured out how to run my wave so you can see what I'm doing, but I've run into that also. Starting out, I didn't have a deck, a physical deck. But anybody who knows DJ programs knows you can do just about everything digitally if you know how to do it. So I'm running my keys. So I have things key bound to my keyboard. I have things key bound to my mouse. But because I didn't have a physical deck, I was told I wasn't a DJ.
Does that mean that I'm not a DJ then, since I use the virtual one?
I mean, look, if you go and follow the voices of that, yeah, that pretty much be the case.
Oh, man.
I was told I couldn't be hired because they were asking me, what type of decks do you use? And I'm like, well, right now I use a virtual deck. I don't actually have a physical deck. And I was tossed from the club. I was like, okay, whatever. Now that I have a physical deck, I'm not going to lie. It's made me lazy because you have everything sitting in front of you, from your knobs to your slides and things like that. And I feel bad for those who don't want to use cameras. Like Vox said, he is the voice. I am a gremlin. If you guys have been in my stream, I am a 2 foot tall green gremlin. That is our brands. Our brands are just that. Some people, they use their they use their hands. Rands, another great DJ, their whole thing is they show their fingers, they show their nails, because that is their brand. They have beautiful nails. And I think that's the sad part with it, is that the controversy of what you should and shouldn't show. And I don't quite understand why it makes you any less of a DJ or any less of a bar, depending on what you do. You guys are putting in effort.
Yeah.
You know, Bards, you guys have to choose the right MIDI, choose the right tempo, choose the right instrument, make sure everybody's together. DJs, we have to make sure that our set lists are done, that we're doing it properly, that we're mixing and sliding. Are there playlist DJs? Yes. Are there people who cheat the system? Yes. Do we get crucified? You have no idea. I've actually I mess up and you can hear it. I have a tendency to accidentally lean over too far and slide my boob and turn my music down. I call it the boob slide. That's a thing. So I think that's just some of the issues, is that, you know, I can, the other thing is, don't ask for VODs. For the love of God, not all of us have VODs. Don't.
Well, according to Twitch, you guys literally can't. 'cause that would get you
Precisely.
Yeah, at this point with the new
Yeah.
program, we unfortunately can't. Despite the fact we would want to, you would have to record it separately.
And I could send you a VOD, but like, I have been turned away from about 4 or 5 clubs because they wanted a VOD of my music. And I've talked to other DJs who have said the same thing. Love you guys to death, but we cannot do VODs without jeopardizing ourselves. And case in point, a very well-known DJ got copyright striked for his own song.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Actually, it was public. He posted it everywhere, even on his Twitter.
Yeah,
So it doesn't really matter. 𝐑𝐚𝐝, who makes his own music, got copyright striked for his own creation.
Yeah. His label company had put it as a restricted song, and he played it because it's his. And from what I've heard of it, he's actually left this label company because of the restriction they had put when he told them he did not want his music to be copyrighted. And I just noticed in the chat here, Masterbase Window made a point here pretty well, as that every DJ works off a playlist. You have to start. Yeah, it's true. They do start off somewhere with playlists, but it's the importance of improving. You have to improve past your playlist and go and build your set list, grow your library, get the skills you need to get. You can learn from other people by observing. YouTube videos exist plenty to teach you how to do the basics.
Well, my thing is, playlists are fine. I organize all my stuff because I'm OCD and I want things to sound good. It's when I mean playlist, it's you don't put everything in your auto DJ, hit play, and then walk away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if you do that, yeah.
Ironically,
that's what I mean by a playlist DJ. Like basically putting on your Spotify and walking away.
So I'll have to admit, when I first started out doing the DJ, before I had any of the songs and everything, I actually did have like one of those long song things that just had a bunch of songs in it and played it and talked over it. But yeah,
It's the term you start from that. You started from that, yes.
Yeah,
But you
that was
chose
literally
to
my
go
first 2
past it. You
streams.
and you chose to go and explore your own music, your own mixing, your tactics and your strategies and your methods, and that's where you have to go.
Yes.
It's we like Bards, they build their midis and it takes a fuck ton of time to build these midis up.
Yes, it does.
And I have heard some of them. I have played a lot of them. I've played a lot of stuff from Eltana. I've played a lot of stuff from Skin. I've played a lot of stuff from Klaus when Klaus used to make some for pianos.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I love their set. And I could never understand how they built these things because I saw how a MIDI file looks like unfiltered and unbuilt, and it does not look right. And then DJs have the same context in their methods of building up how their skill sets come up. The set list, easy to build. It's music that fits with each other. Same genre or genres adjacent, but the skill set you need to learn, that's where our build-ups come from. Learning the deck, learning the virtual programming, and applying those skills and your know-how to make yourself better and then make yourself more flow in everything you do.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. All right, I've only been at it a month. I've gotten the hang of it since, experience messing with stuff and watching some videos. Yeah, I had to do that.
But the most important lesson of all for all DJs is that you will never stop learning. You'll always have something new that comes up and you're like, oh shit, I did not know how to do this. Now I do.
And always ask questions. For the love of God, always ask questions. I'm guilty of that. And then I started hitting a stagnant pond, and then I was fortunate enough to find in the NCV, and now I'm being pushed. So always ask questions.
I'm sure it's the same way in the Bard community as well. Whenever they get new MIDI editors coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, even us old MIDI editors never stop learning. There's always something, some new combo you've never tried, some new way to try a new genre of song that you hear somebody else play and it inspires you.
But like you had said, the programs always keep changing and updating because of the game. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep up on the date.
Yeah, they've been relatively stable for the last few years. I mean, there's like a little tiny changes in like the way they handle like some guitar effects and stuff, but it's nothing too major within the last couple of years. Hopefully they stay stable for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that time
It's
when
just those really old ones that get a little janky sometimes.
Yeah, I remember that one time when they did like a complete overhaul of it and it broke every single MIDI there was at the time.
Ooh.
Yeah, I believe I had stopped performing Bard before that happened, but I had heard about something of that nature.
But yeah, at this point, it's been a few years since a Bard update. We're still waiting. We got the Hopium going.
Yeah, I hope that another one doesn't drop that breaks it.
I would take it if it meant it broke like a bunch of my songs, but we got a whole bunch of new sound effects to play with. I would totally take it and just remake them. Because most of the work is probably already done, and I just like playing with new things. I want new toys.
Yeah, I really wanted like a full drum kit, like a proper drum kit.
Oh, that would be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we have our trash can lid symbols. And if you want anything more subtle, you're out of luck. There's nothing you can do about it.
Some cowbells too, apparently.
Stop!
Bells. Any
No.
bells would be great. Cowbells, those little Christmas bells, like xylophones, something subtle.
Oh, a
'Cause
xylophone would be
every
lovely.
musical
I love
instrument in
me
this
some
game is
xylophone.
like FF14 instruments have full volume or nothing. You can't. There's no subtlety to them. So we could really need some like nice, quiet, subtle sound samples and not stuff that makes your ears bleed.
Yeah, that would be really nice to get those more quieter effects on some things too.
I actually thought of a question from a earlier mention from before, if we have the time for that. Do we?
Yeah, you can go ahead and pop in a question.
Okay. I remember, I think it was from one of the bards, probably, of not needing as much musical experience when it came down to making your own music, making your own midis, or just in general of trying to put it all together to make it sound good. Me personally having about like 14 years of music experience, so when you was talking about 3 octaves, I was like, okay, that's pretty intense. But I was curious on like how much musical knowledge you had to have beforehand or even afterwards of in general learning of different tools to put together to create these different midis, or maybe it applies to DJs as well, which you guys are also open to this topic to answer the question. um just in general, how does that work?
Like, what is the skill floor requirement for each? I guess,
Yes,
right?
what is
Mm.
yeah, the skill floor requirement, because
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you don't
ultimately
need a
zero,
lot,
right?
but it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you could start at zero and like learn about music notation and intervals and things like just by toying with MIDIs. I mean, I could imagine somebody with no music experience just getting music experience by tinkering with barding, because we have to strip the MIDIs down so much that you can kind of see what's going on a little bit better than you could with a full score. And you obviously having musical experience helps, and especially if you're going to start making your own songs and your own mixes. But if you just want to start editing, you could do it just from scratch. And if you have a good enough ear to know when I move the block from point A to point B, it sounds like shit, I better move it back. That's all you need to get started, and you learn from there.
Yeah, you'll just learn by osmosis as you do it if you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had a head start. I had music experience and some MIDI editing and stuff from years ago, but you really don't need any. It just gives you a head start. It gives you a little leg up. But it's a whole new learning how FF14 instruments work is like a whole other beast. In some ways, if you're an audiophile, it actually can harm you because you got to get used to how our things are sometimes out of tune, and you can't put a violin as a violin, or everyone thinks it sounds like shit. Like, there's a million adaptations you have to make for 14 that if you're just a traditionally classically trained musician, you got to kind of relearn it a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was curious about, because I am a classically trained musician and sometimes the barding does make me go a bit insane. But that's the main thing. I was just like, how much experience do you really need to even get into it aside from just playing it out yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of made those first few guides, was just if you have no experience at all and you just know how to download a MIDI and get the Bard programs running, here's how to just get started editing. And hopefully it kind of sparks somebody to learn some more and ask some more questions and, get into that like laboratory mindset themselves.
Speaking of which, those resources that Eltana is talking about, they are currently available in our Discord in the media content. So if you want to get into MIDI editing and stuff like that, the resources are in there. And I will go ahead and relink the Discord again.
Look at Aruna gatekeeping excellent resources. We love that for him.
Oh well,
Yeah,
yeah,
but if any of y'all know Square Enix employees, just don't tell them about it, please.
yeah,
True.
don't tell Square Enix.
I kind of have an off question. Like, speaking of MIDIs, you have the basics. When putting the MIDIs up, we all know about the repository. What are your thoughts on it? Do you feel that it's unorganized, that the organization's great?
I would be surprised if anybody thinks the organization is great, because we've had people just randomly posting songs for years, and if you put too many restrictions on format, you don't get that many people posting, and then it's just
Do you
there's
wish
so
there
many
was like a
ways.
search function or anything that would be different in it?
Yeah, I've tried and I've suggested it, but it's just a lot of work with the I think the official repository. I'd love to try to find something with that one day. But the like Bard music player releases page where anybody and everybody can post stuff, I think it's kind of just not practical.
Mm-hmm.
But it
I
definitely
was
needs to
just
be more
wondering, yeah,
organized.
because I've used the repository and I know I have went through hundreds of songs and I'm like, I wish I could just have a search function. I was wondering, like, bards who do it more regularly than just us, play around, fuck around and find out bards. What's your guys' thoughts on trying to find things in the repository, or do you think what could be better with it, what could be worse with it, things like that.
Step 1, don't
Um,
search in the repository.
Yeah, almost everything could be better. We have some people working on that, like no days, but we're gonna try to get something maybe sometime in the future where there's at least a searchable list. It won't be every MIDI that's out there for 14, but a big enough list that you at least you could search something and get a good place to start. And you do that and you get the names of a few editors and you follow their work from Discord to Discord and you can kind of get
Mhm.
to know people that way without having to be able to find everything in one place. But it's just because you have all of us will download these MIDI files, we rename them our own way. We have octets, we have solos, we have quartets, and we have people who spell band names wrong or are from different countries, and you put the song before the band name and the band before the song name. There's all these ways that people just, it's the Wild West with naming your files. And so
Yeah.
organizing those has to be done manually. You really can't do it with any kind of like AI thing. It's just somebody's gonna be spending hundreds of hours doing that at some point. I do it for my server, and that takes me months just to do our year's worth of upload. So I couldn't imagine doing it for the whole repo.
Right. Yeah, it's like just trying to like sift through. I need solo ones, but I was just wondering what your guys' like actual thoughts on it, because you hear from a lot of the outside, but not people who are directly involved. So I wanted your guys' thoughts on that one.
Yeah, and the archive at this point is so huge, it would be a massive manual undertaking to try to go back and catalog everything properly.
Yeah.
So we have a statement from audience, Fatalis. With DJs, people with no experience can learn to DJ. However, those with experience have an upper hand. For example, I have experience since I was 6, as I was in youth choir that toured in Europe, as well experience in musical theater I could apply to DJing. I understand phrasing with lyrics and how they flow, for example. Whereas somebody who is limited musically background and isn't musically inclined might struggle, but can pick it up.
No, definitely. That's what I was thinking during it when I asked the question of like, how does it, because yes, you have the upper hand, but I wonder of how easy it is to pick it up on like phrasing or lyrics or just in general of keeping the tempo of like transitions between maybe DJ tracks and then also MIDIs when it comes down to the different instruments, despite the
I guess it
limitations
just
of the head.
depends. I guess it just depends on the person. Some
And
people
also,
pick up things
yeah,
really quickly, and some people struggle. I guess it's just with like any art in life.
yeah.
Sorry,
It
Vox.
also comes down to like the people around you who also can offer the help that you need, because stuff like this, to learn it, you have to ask the questions. And there are some people who will actually extend a hand and show you the ropes and show you what you need to learn. They won't hold your hand the entire way, but they'll toss you the tools you need, and then they'll kick you out there and say, "Go for it." Make mistakes, but from your mistakes you'll learn.
And always be open to feedback. Ask that club owner, what did you think of the set? If you're not happy, please be honest with me so I can improve. So many club owners are afraid to do that now because a lot of DJs and stuff, they don't want that feedback. I mean, if it sounds like shit, I want to know I sounded like shit and what I can do to improve it. So always be open and don't, go after someone, because
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that. And now a lot of people are afraid to tell the truth
I think
because
from
they're
that,
afraid of that
actually,
backlash.
I think for me, it's mostly like I get so much praise for the sets I do that if someone ever came to me and told me like, okay, I didn't like your set, we want you again, but here's what you can do to improve it, and I would be like getting like a mad child going like, oh my god, those are rare.
Right? Yeah. Same with me. I always ask, because I know Vox and Fatalis, they're going to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
So I'll ask them, what did I do wrong, or what can I do? Like one set, I was brand new, never done it in my life. I completely went out of my comfort zone, And Fox was like, you know, it was a solid B. And I said, let me guess, it was because of X, Y, and Z. And he said, exactly. But I knew what I did wrong. But I wanted to confirm that what I was suspicious about was correct. And that's the only way you're going to learn in life.
Yeah. Like I have, whenever I play good set and I fuck up once, I usually go like, fuck, I fucked that up. And then if someone tells me about it, I'm like, yep, I know I caught it too, but I couldn't fix it in time.
Yep. Repeats and skips. I
Yeah,
still
so
fuck those up.
Faye's got a point there. It's like, if you're not ready for the feedback, then you might not be ready for this kind of like play life, because
Yep.
DJs need to be open to criticism. That's how we grow.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
normal.
yeah. Faye's normally the one who actually goes and messages me about it. She has a lot of experience in music too. She's also one of the people who helped me co-found the NCV, so I trust her opinion above many others.
These two people are the ones that now, if I need feedback, I'm gonna to go to Faye. You hear that? You can always DM me and say, "What the hell was that?"
But it's also the most important too, is you have to bring the criticism from a place of positivity to make sure that the person doesn't feel like shit for fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
I always fuck
The
up.
error
Though.
is human.
Well, speaking of which, are we ready for some controversial topics?
Let's bring it.
Oh boy.
Put the gloves on.
Let's do it.
It's
I'm
time
ready.
for chaotic fun.
Oh yeah, because I really want to hear this from the Bard side of the thing, even though apparently it already happened and I missed it. But
How did you miss it? You've been here the whole time.
I know, right?
Brother, you good?
He's flipping pages trying to catch up where we are.
Oh, true.
How
Yeah.
dare he not be attentive to his own podcast?
SMH. Shame him.
We went off the script a long time ago, so
There was a script. I didn't get no script though.
I didn't either.
Brother, you wrote the script.
This is why you prepare at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. That way, everybody knows what they're doing.
Our last podcast was only a week ago. I thought we
mean-
were going to be doing another one for weeks. We were just like,
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
I
I was
know,
just
in a
gonna
week,
start
it's
the-
another 4 hours.
Well, I said like maybe 2, maybe 3 a month. That way, we have time for a script and to prepare.
Yeah.
But improv, and it's always
I think
more
it's
fun.
funnier watching him panic.
Yeah, they just
It
love to
really
bully
is.
me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so bards and DJs playing together in venues, possible, impossible. Let's hear some opinions.
Oh, can I
I
create
have no
the crack?
issue with it.
I'm gonna take a
I
cracker
don't
first.
see
But
why
this,
it's not.
it is possible, but there are select few groups in this community who most likely focus on Reddit, who have tried to make a dent between DJs and bards,
Mm-hmm.
who have tried to turn us against each other because they are either turning to DJs trying to agree with us that bards aren't actually able to play their music. They're just stealing tracks from other people or other sources. And for some select few people who know how bards actually do the content for their midis, they're going like, that's not true. Bards are just as much credible as DJs because the time they put to work their midis out
Mm-hmm.
is just about the same amount of time we take to set our lists and learn our craft.
I agree 100%. I've actually worked a few venues that had bard openers. Like the first, I think, like hour and a half was a bard group, and they were phenomenal. And then when they stopped, like they went from like 9 to 10 or 9 to 11. And then the 2 DJs came in, and I've never had an issue. In fact, I used to go early so I could hear them because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I usually went to Gridania just to listen to a bunch of people playing bard there, and like they're like, "Oh, you're a DJ." I'm like, "Yes." Why are you listening to them? But I'm like, I like what they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the creativity of having to do what they do, to be in sync with each other? That's amazing.
I tried doing a trio. You know how many times we had to stop, restart,
Right.
stop, restart? Shit.
It usually falls to the question: is it on your 3 or my 3?
So
Our third
what
comrade.
about the Bards though? What kind of thoughts y'all got on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for everybody enjoying how music however they choose. Like, I've never really had, I might have made one or two jokes about walking into a club and all you hear is stomping feet and no music because everyone's on Twitch. But like,
But that's so
you know,
true, though.
whatever you want to do to have a great time is great. Yeah, I know a lot of bards too, like, have complained of losing work to DJs and clubs, but like, I'm not going to fault the individual DJs for that. That's just the way things are.
I think
And
it's
like, we're
kind of
not going to be able to, we can't. You want, rap and R&B. Yeah, I can make a rap song with bongos and stuff, and it's pretty fun. But like, this types of music I'm not going to get
I want to hear it.
from a bard.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
want to hear it
But I
too.
think the biggest thing for that, for bars losing business to DJs, is probably falling down to the venues themselves, because they are the ones who make the decisions, right? They
Yeah.
choose what entertainment they want, and a DJ just goes and takes the gig whenever they get the gig, just like a bar would take the gig if they got it. But I mean, I've seen some venues that actually make them coexist. Bards play on the set and DJs play out anyways, so both of them work at the
That's
same
super
place.
rare.
It's rare,
yeah,
but
and
it's something that
ultimately,
can
it's what
happen.
the patrons want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if that's what the patrons want at the venue, that's ultimately what it comes down to.
yeah, because like,
If there aren't enough people wanting good bard bands, then one thing you could do is make a pretty badass bard band and play out in town and play some shit people have never heard before and maybe they'll hire you.
yeah, like just
That's
because I
literally
know,
how I've
I
hired
know,
the
I
majority
did,
of my bard team.
yeah, like I know I did hear a lot about Home Gang, and I was like, okay, this is lit, and I like the sound this brings.
And whole gang is
To then later
full of
find out that
flexibility.
like you're producing a bunch of metal style music with the guitars, and I'm like, that's sick.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if there's any venue owners out there, can we normalize bards and DJs in venues? Yeah, maybe.
It really depends. I'm going to talk about this from a venue owner perspective. Oh my God, it depends on your clientele. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
when you walk into a venue, let's say you're a club owner, when you walk into a club, the expectation laid out by the hundreds, if not thousands, of venues that came before you is that clubs will traditionally have that DJ. And the everything else that is not a club category, the expectation is kind of all over the place. If you fall into a non-club setting like Aurora and I do, we might have a little bit more flexibility, but it comes down to the vibes that we're trying to push forward, right? So something like, let's just take a cafe as an example. Depending on the vibes of a cafe, like let's say you're a morning sleepy time cafe, would it make sense to have one type of entertainment versus the other? Would this type of entertainment cater to the specific vibe? So to have a place where you could
Yeah, I think it does come down also to the fact that there's a
run.
there's a very few amounts of daytime venues. We have a lot of
Yeah.
nighttime venues, but daytime venues are always
Mhm.
like just cafes or lounges, and they just have an open stage, but no bard really wants to go play because these places are either too obscure or they just don't get enough traction.
I agree, and sadly. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm on a lot of times at night. I'm actually podcasting from work because I got emergency call in. But I'm out at night, and I don't see many bards at night unless I go to like Gradania or some of the major spots. And it's kind of sad. I mean, it does make me sad because I wish there was that ability
I'm
to
wildly
share the
confused by
stage.
that. I'm
Look,
super, super confused by that. I have pretty much a very opposite experience here. Maybe it's the fact that I'm not a nightclub frequenter. Maybe that's the defining factor here, right? It,
Yeah.
yeah,
but
that's
like
probably it though.
everywhere I go, it's bards everywhere. Bathhouses, small lounges, little cafes,
Yeah,
libraries, everywhere I go, it's bards everywhere.
I think
And
this.
I'm
I think
a late night DJ.
yeah, I think that's like
And then
that's the defining chasm of it. There's
Mm.
like you've got the social spots, gathering spots and stuff, which are cafes and these lounges and all these places which have the very big RP factor, and bards can thrive because they're the sound they hear. As for nightclubs, there's rarely people that will be talking, they'll most likely just be dancing. So that's kind of the big factor why DJs are more impressed, because a lot of times everyone talks in the DJ's chat bar. to get the DJ's attention.
Well, that, and as a venue owner, when you hire a DJ, your responsibility becomes, how can I convert as many people as physically like all my physical bodies inside my location? How can I convert them to this DJ stream so the DJ feels loved and counter supported, so that they have a good experience, they'll talk positively about us, the whole 9 yards, forging that good relationship. So it's just a completely different focus when you bring in a DJ, as compared to bringing in a bard that you can bring them in and sometimes they'll sit and fuck with the crowd. At least I know my home bards usually do, but it's more of a set and I can kind of be hands off. With DJs, it's such an involved process too.
Yeah, and Pastel Sophia made a good point too, that clubs normally do DJs, but everywhere else is bards.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because the club scene kind of grew during the COVID events, and most people just couldn't go out. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing is people wanted to have a place to just vibe, not role play, not just interact, but mostly just vibe. And that's where the DJs kind of grew to become a staple. Because
Yep.
before we even made a scene, the bards were everywhere, and that was the norm for us all.
Yeah, I remember those days back when it was
Yeah,
bards
because it was mostly
everywhere.
like clubs only started showing up in 2020 to 2021, while we had pubs, we had brothels, we had a lot of these different clubs or
Still
venues
do.
all over the place. Yeah, there are plenty. They're
Still
everywhere.
do.
Just they're more. It's just DJs get less attention on those spots, so we don't actually go there. We don't notice them very much.
And I feel bad because I came in during the start of the COVID thing, so I feel horrible that I kind of have a short leash of it. I didn't get to witness all the, the saloons and the people
Yeah.
with bards. But, I give a lot of mad respect when I go to a place that has the bards, and I do love it.
Well,
It's
the
just,
beautiful part is you've seen the rise of places like Mercidia, the Foundry, Huckleberry Saloon, just naming a couple off the top of my head. Phenomenal bard locations. Morball's Mouth is another one. Recently met them at Foundry Fest too. You've got such beautiful collectives that are really double down hardcore on really investing into their bard communities that have existed for a long time. So I think it's just it's just little pockets that have formed, truly.
Yeah.
right. And as sad as it sounds, like I said, I do love that they have their own, but do you also maybe feel that there is a segregation with it because of
Yes.
the different
Oh yeah.
types?
Oh
Definitely.
yeah. 100%. It's done by expectations that have been set for years before I've existed, other people existed, and everybody else in here has existed. This groundwork has been set for us for a very long time. DJs are a more visual, their timeline has evolved at a faster rate because of how new they are comparatively, in my opinion. But no, I think there's always been that little itty bitty divide. You've only got like let's say there's 100 spots available, right? You have a new emerging group of people who are also fighting for that same 100 entertainment spots. So it's just gonna birth creativity and more competition for it regardless. So it's easy to pin against each other realistically in that space.
Yeah, and one thing too is like Square Enix themselves doesn't help very much because as bards, like, you have to click that thing saying you're not going to play any licensed songs. You have to keep everything under the
Yeah.
radar.
Yeah.
We all may or may not be using third-party tools. Whereas you go on the PFs and you have DJs, and I'm not saying that this makes me bitter, but I've definitely heard this sentiment where like you go on PFs and you have people advertising their
Yes.
Twitch stream, which is essentially RMT. They want to get subs, which makes them money. Not that everybody here that does it for greed, but there's just that weird double-sidedness that like I think really annoys a lot of bards because we have to kind of do, be mostly under the radar, even though everybody knows we're playing licensed songs with add-ons. Everybody knows the deal, but like
Yeah.
just the way Square Enix is, I think also pits us against each other.
That
Could you
actually,
imagine if
that is
bards
a
were
big thing, yeah.
promoted in the same exact way as DJs? I would love to see that. Honest to God, down to my
actually.
core, I would love to see that.
yeah, this
Yeah,
actually
it
brings
would be
me
something.
to the next thing though too, is like bards performing on Twitch like DJs do, but doing the bar performances within the venues. You think
Yeah,
that's
there were. I've
Bards-
seen a few. But
Yeah, like there's a few that I've seen as well on that.
Yeah, I've
And-
played like some festivals that have
Yeah.
streamed their stage
But
during
then-
the festival.
Yeah, but then they got the whole issue now with Twitch is that if they're doing any licensed music, they have to enter the DJ program. And then since they're Bards, Square Enix is still going to be on their ass because it's the third program. It's the third party program still in play.
Oh wait, am I supposed to be in the DJ program or something?
I mean, it's a thing you can join. It's to keep you safe in case they kind of flag you for licensed music.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
know,
I'm not worried
those
about
copyright
that.
things.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that though. At least right now. Hope not.
Ye-
I need to look into this
And
later.
they don't even care who copyrighted your music. I got in trouble for actually playing Square Enix songs. They were like Final Fantasy mixes and stuff were some of the things that could copyright strike. So I don't know if that means it's more the third party thing than the actual songs, or they're just being spiteful, or like I said, someone's meeting their quota. But I just never wanted to start on Twitch for that reason. I considered, maybe I should just go on Twitch since YouTube canned me. But I don't want to put all this time and effort into starting up this thing that could just be gone the next day.
Yeah, there really needs to be like a platform where we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So people like you with posting videos showing how to use a tool and stuff aren't flagged down because of the music stuff.
I do think that that's where some of it comes from, and just and people there were bards who say the DJing is low effort and you just play a playlist. There are bards who do the same thing, and I don't fault either one of them for doing it, because when you're a bard and you're starting out, what else do you get? You get other people's songs. That's how you start out too. Like the chatter was saying about DJs. So I think that's kind of a non-starter when people say the DJs are low effort, because you could be a low effort bard too. Or just it's your first gig and you're nervous and you have all these tools and like it looks like you're just botting, but you're freaking out behind your computer hoping you don't click the wrong note because it's your first performance. Like you just never know. So you give everybody a chance.
Yeah, but it's okay to mess up though. Everybody messes up, makes mistakes along the way. We've all done it. We've all been there. It's just part of being human.
Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. Here I thought I was a Martian. Damn it.
Oh, damn. Now, before we start going into like the other questions from the viewers and stuff, Kana has provided some stats for us. And Kana wants to talk about it,
Yeah, I can talk through. Yeah. Hey. 1 second. So, okay, let me guess. Let me ask everyone else. How many venues do you guys think have DJs? So just start sharing out some random numbers. We'll see how close you are. And
Wait,
just
how
for
many
a bit of
venues of what?
context, how many venues do you think have DJs as part of their entertainment set?
NA or EU? NA and EU both.
Let's start with global, because I've got the numbers for
Global?
each. Yeah, I've got the numbers for each area.
Oh,
of
right,
So-
because every venue gets its self-tag. Oh, shit.
And
Yeah,
so,
because
Oh,
they
I don't know.
self-tag,
I don't know
so-
how many venues actually exist out there. I have
So-
never been to all of them.
Same,
there's a
they
total
always
of
They're like
exactly
1,300.
1,300 right now.
1,300. Okay.
Yeah,
So
globally.
if I had to put it down, I'd say close to the proximities of 800 to 900 venues probably have DJs around them.
Okay.
Sounds about right. I would say the same.
It's mostly because of the
Okay.
new wave of what they bring, given how fast they grew over the last couple of years.
Okay. How many are
I
you thinking
actually
of
think
nightclubs?
it's more like
Sorry.
400 for DJs,
Okay.
and then the rest get tagged as bards. 400 would be an upper ceiling for my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair because I don't use either entertainment for mine, so I don't have any of those.
Let me ask a follow-up qualifier here, though. Are we separating this out of like what percent of clubs use DJs, or is this like is it clubs versus everybody else, or like how are we breaking down those numbers? Because that makes a huge
This is
difference.
at the moment. This is all venues. So I thought you
Mhm.
might ask that question though about how many of all of them are nightclubs versus how many of all of them are not nightclubs, because that makes a bit of a difference to percentage. So I went and found that out as well. For global, I don't have it per environment yet, per
Okay.
area yet. So to kind of help you out with that, there are about, hang on, undo the edits to this.
Just over there mentally calculating data.
Right. So out of all venues, there are 433 nightclubs. The rest of them are something else. So are
I
you still
stand
thinking
by
of
my
400?
ceiling.
Okay. Okay. So, Aaron, do you want to?
What about
first
the bards too? We want to ask about those. Try to get those numbers in.
Oh yeah. Okay then. So if you're thinking 400 for Twitch DJ, how many are you thinking are bards? What number do you think we're going to go with for bard? Do you think there's more bard venues than DJ or less?
Way more. It has to be 700 plus.
More. Okay. Anyone else have an idea?
I feel like it's probably more because if you're probably including like open stages, even if they're occupied or not. I see a lot of open
True.
stage places that are like little cafes with open stage. So yeah, I'd be like 700-800 would be my guess.
Yeah, I think it's probably around there.
Alright, well, if any of you are watching the stream, the numbers are about to be popped up on screen to see for global. This is the number of Twitch DJs and Bards venues.
So out of the 1300s, you're pretty spot on. There's 428 venues that have marked themselves as providing Twitch DJ entertainment.
Ooh. Okay.
That is such a shocking disparity.
I'm actually not surprised by photography. G-Pose is kind of a big thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been popping everywhere. It's
Yeah,
kind of crazy.
definitely.
I say as a G-posing myself is everywhere, I swear.
I think
Well, it's a
pretty much
retention thing,
everyone has at
really.
least tried to G-pose once and try to do something with it too. That's kind of how it's been done. And then you got people who can actually who have mastered the craft.
Okay.
But these are definitely some interesting statistics for the rankings of things in venues right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't shown
I'm
you all the
most
tags in that
surprised by
image. I'm just
dancer.
giving you enough for DJing Bards.
Mhm.
I'm actually still surprised that there are that many courtesan venues out there, given the fact of how dry
Right.
bone it seems to be.
Like dancers
Dry.
being up there surprised me a lot because I swear I don't see that many venues even have the position as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I just
I
see the
see
staff
them
dancing and it's
quite
not a position
frequently.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like dancers often get combined into other roles. Like I see them most commonly combined into pillows or combined into hosts, in particular hosts and greeters and
Yeah.
other things like that. That's typically where I see the word dancer get meshed in.
Yeah,
But
definitely
this is a
combines.
really surprising graph, not gonna lie.
Well, now we can move on to the North American stats. If you want to take some guesses for those.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
I'm actually
EU?
unsure. No, that was
That was
global.
no, that was global.
Oh,
That
that's
was
global.
global.
Okay.
Okay, so I would have to say flush down 200 for NA specifically.
On DJ?
On DJs alone, because a lot of what I see, because you go into Party Finder, it's everywhere. Live DJ has been is the most used word on the Party Finder in NA than I've ever seen. So
Okay.
Well,
I think that's
mostly
pretty
because
fair.
the advertisement requirements for DJs versus bards are just so different.
yeah, which is kind of what kind of makes it very hard for bars to get out there. But in which case, I'd still say you could still say bard. Like it's just a lot of people will capitalize, and there are a lot of shit starters out there that will just kind of try to cause problems with the bards if that's the case. Reddit is a thing
Mhm.
after all, so that's always a problem.
Also, Aurora and Plush. Kurt says hi, and he's grateful.
Hi, Kurt.
Hello.
I'm sorry about yesterday. We'll do our venue hopping next
I'm not
week.
sorry.
I
Fuck
promise.
you.
Two
I have no
different
idea what's
spectrums.
happening, but
No, because we had an FC event yesterday and my internet decided to just go boom. And so I can do
Oh
it.
yeah, understandable.
Any other
Also, hey
guests?
gamer, what's going on?
How competitive do you think it is? So you can kind of see there that indicatively by the venue stats at least, about 3/4 of Twitch DJ venues are bard venues. How competitive do you think it is in NA? Do you think it's going to be closer competitively or less close?
I would guess about the same, but it's kind of a guess because I can't really travel to EU and compare the two. So I mean, it seems about right though. I definitely, again, see more open stages and bard venues than I do DJs.
Well, let's see what the numbers have to say.
Yep. Pick them up. So Twitch DJ, out of the 428 DJ venues around the world, 306 of them are in North
Holy
America.
snap.
Whoa.
I was off by 100.
But still, that's a pretty large
Yeah.
number.
And then
Take into account there is a disparity with data with like between EU and the US. In the US, we have I think around 97 to 98% of all venues indexed, but in EU it's a lower percentage. I think we're sitting around 85 to 90%.
Yeah.
at
So
least
we've got a little bit of a disparity there.
At least we can say there is like a close match between DJs and bars in NA. It's only like 30 off.
Yeah. But it seems now here I also know where all the courts are at.
Yeah, and then
Wait, is
there's
courts even in that one? Oh, I haven't.
No, there's no
yeah.
courts in that one.
I didn't screenshot the whole tag list. I can
Oh,
give you
no,
the
it's
screenshot
fine.
of the whole tag list if you want.
No, it's fine. I'm just messing around with that one.
But of course there's
But
photography
probably I can
again.
actually go and find that out.
We're
if
just
you
going
want.
overseas. That's what we're doing right now.
All right.
I think generally, to be honest, Europe is a little bit more safe for work than we are.
I mean, fair. But then again, you also have to realize that, like, I just went in NA, most venues, especially for GPO stuff. You look at like Cyberpunk vibes, they're not very big in NA. And I went to EU and it's everywhere. And I'm like, God damn, this is awesome.
Okay. Conversely, then Europe, obviously that's going to be the vast majority of the rest. Materia does a small amount. So Europe, do you want to kick up Europe?
Yeah, what kind of guesses we got for that Europe?
Well, it's mostly going to be global minus.
Oh well, yeah. Okay, so we've already got the numbers
Global
anyway.
minus NA, realistically speaking.
Yeah, there is some in Materia, but it's quite small. So I'll show you. We'll show you Materia as well.
Yeah, so this
So
is for
in
the
Europe,
EU.
In Europe, there's 113 venues. Just take in mind there is only 2 data centers in Europe as well. So that makes a big difference in terms of population, in terms of raw numbers rather than percentile.
Yeah. That's what it,
DJs 113, 43 with Bard. There might be a little bit more of both if you take into account the fact that we don't have full 100% of all venues, but about 85 to 90.
But there's an interesting statistic here that I think I'm gonna compare real quick. Let's see here. We got NA, then we got EU. Does anybody notice a difference between the EU from the NA and the global?
Well, I'm gonna fail this pops quiz.
Yeah, what
yeah, I didn't study for this one, Teach.
Photography. Photography was like way up on the global, and it's way up on NA, but it's not really represented much in the
Also,
EU.
it seems like EU is a lot more RP wise instead of being nightclub filled.
Yeah. So I think mostly it's
let me
because G posing is like it's everywhere, but the thing
Hang
is
on.
that NA has more.
Hang on. It's because, again, it's outside the screenshot. Photography is actually ranking higher than DJ.
Oh.
In the Europe.
Oh, that's surprising.
What? Oh.
So, out of 210 venues we currently have indexed in Europe, 114 of them have photography.
Oh, okay, so just right there, one above Twitch DJ for EU.
Yeah, other than like drink services, which vast majority of venues have, it's the highest one on the feature set for EU.
I'm actually not surprised with that, given how many studios I've seen on EU alone.
Definitely.
that
Oh,
was
they're
And
so
they
beautiful.
are amazingly built. I will always
I
give
wish I
credit
could
to the
go.
builders in place. I think there was one particularly made by a person called Karasu. They made cyberpunk specific studios, and they had a Ripperdoc office at one point in one of their houses that was just amazing.
Oh, well, if you know some G-Pose people, tell them to reach out to me, since we do have an episode coming up for G-Posing 1 week.
I have a
Oh,
few people in
I'll go
mind.
reach out to my
Yay!
people. Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be so much fun.
Quite a few people in mind for that one.
Yeah, I got a few people in mind for that.
It's gonna be a big podcast, that one. Okay. Materia is the last one remaining of that, and we've got some category distribution stats as well. So I don't know. Do you want to just throw up Materia?
Since
finishing
we've
point?
already seen the global.
Yeah. So I could give some context to these statistics. Materia is a very small data center. It's only one data center, as you all know, but it's also only 4 worlds, not 8. So it's
Yeah.
very, very small population. In terms of grand total number of venues on that data center, there are 30. And it's very different than like our culture as well. Like if you go there and you start talking to the venue owners there, almost all of them know each other. It's like a little community of venues where I think a lot of us here have like other venues that we know, but they almost all know each other and they coordinate quite well.
Yeah.
And they don't even really call each other's venues by the venue name. They all say, "Okay, let's go over to Floop's place" or something like that. And that's
Yeah,
just
so they have it
level.
based on
That's
owners
awesome.
owner space.
Yeah, it's a very tight little community down there, which is really cute. It also makes the statistics very, very accurate because there's a very small amount of venues there, and we've got indexes there specifically for them.
Yeah.
But even though there's like a small number of them, if you ever go to the Oceanic servers to go to a venue, every single one of those venues is packed. All right, every time I've gone over there, every single one of them is packed to the brim.
Oh shit.
Well, it's to be expected given the fact that it is probably the only data center that can actually. Give me a second. Sorry about that. It's mostly because you got EU and NA that can come into the same place, and although they don't actually work those venues specifically at times, it's a place of mingling, right? So we can meet each other.
Yeah, which is usually what's so great about like smaller data centers, sort of like what Dynamis was at the beginning, before it,
An outpost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar as well to what Ether used to be before data center travel came in.
Oh.
Oh man, those were some dark days, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but they're also really wholesome days. It was very similar, where a lot of people knew each other's names in terms of venue owning scene. It was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you mentioned last time as well, like the days of kind of like Kimura's reign over the venue scene started to kind of taper down, and new venues, all mostly independent, kind of starting up again. So there wasn't many venues as there are now. I think back then it was like 100 across AFA, but I knew about at least. So it was quite wholesome.
Yes, I think the scene grew pretty well though over the years, thanks to the data center travel, but it's also caused its own sets of problems. But
Okay, so we got one more stat point to show, and I can go and get some more if you have any questions off the back of this stuff. So category distribution. So I went and found out, where do bards live in terms of venue type? Okay, and I answered the same question as well for DJs. You can probably guess what the most obvious question answer is going to be for DJs, but there are some other venue types in there as well that actually might surprise you. So I'll start with bards. Where do you think the majority of DJs live? What type of venue?
Bathhouse.
Okay.
Taverns would be my choice.
Yeah, there too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been to taverns before, and they're usually filled with bards.
Can attest to that.
Okay.
It's a good thing nobody was looking at the stream because I kind of popped it up a bit too early there.
Oh, you were. I already saw. I'm not gonna say the answer though.
It's all right though because I think like it's all delayed for us. So, okay. So if I told you a bit of a contextless number here, so taverns, 84 venues, 84 taverns have DJ services. How many nightclubs in comparison do you think have bards? What number would you think?
Single digit easily. It has to be less than 8.
I'd push it up to at least 20.
I think a good
Yeah, I'm
15.
thinking like half.
Because
Be half
You-
and half or something. Some bards, some DJs.
yeah, but a lot of nightclubs also can like identify as casinos, and they do usually have bards play.
Yeah, that's a good caveat to add on this. A lot of nightclubs can be like both a nightclub and like a tavern or something like that.
Yep.
Okay. All right, then let's kick it up and see what the stats are.
All right, these are the statistics of where bards live.
Oh shit, I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, not bad. So tavern, pretty high up there. Cafes, obviously, it's probably the most popular one. Lounge is very similar to tavern, but in terms of how they describe their venues, lounge is at the top.
Yeah.
Nightclub,
Lounge makes sense.
40.
Okay, I was
That's
20 off.
shocking.
And then I see all the
Night
way.
cafes as well.
I see all the way down there. Fight Club barely peeking out. 4 venues, and one of those
That's kind of a
venues.
new thing.
Yeah. Fight clubs are slowly growing, but they're still new.
Yeah, very, very slowly going. There was 2, and those same 2 are still open now. 3 years ago. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep, and the bard that performs at one of these fight clubs is here with us. Elton
Yeah,
at the
one of
home
them's my
game.
home venue.
I think the biggest thing with that, the reason why the fight clubs are becoming such a thing, is that no one talks about Fight Club, so it doesn't spread.
Yeah, you
right?
only
It's
know about
very
those.
true.
Like, I don't know what to talk about.
Change that on the site. If you try and click the filter for Fight Club, I'll just put a sign on the page saying, sorry, we don't talk about these.
Yeah, right. I think that's pretty much the only reason why. But it is relatively new, and it's pretty fun depending on how people can do it.
Sorry for leaving the VC, by the way.
Welcome
Ah,
back.
he's come back.
I had to leave it because of the fact that the train was so incredibly cramped. I would not have been able to speak.
Fair.
All
So it's
right,
like,
guys.
okay, I'm going to conserve
Unfortunately,
battery power.
I have to go.
Welcome back.
It's been swapped.
Oh, sad to see you leave right now.
Well,
but
you know, it was discussed,
yeah,
but you know, I'm glad Flannis is back, and
I'm glad I'm
Flannis, I hope
alive.
you're doing all
more than
right.
anything.
yeah, being alive is
But
important.
thank you guys so much for having me here. And I wish you guys all the best of luck. And till next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, don't work too hard.
Have a good one.
Yeah, she's been pretty busy with the RL work since she got that call in today.
Yeah, it's understandable. But yeah, sorry that I've missed everything.
It's all right. You came back just in time to talk about where DJs live.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
In game,
Fair
not real life. We're not going to dox anyone, don't worry.
Oh yeah, in game.
That's calm. Yeah, that's calm. That's calm.
I made it as a kid. I just live in my basement somewhere.
Okay, right. So yeah, I've got one more statistic. This is where DJs live. So this is what types of venues of all the venues that offer DJ entertainment. What are the types? What's the distribution of the type? No, I'll give you a spoiler right now. You're all going to be absolutely right. The nightclub is at the very top of this.
Naturally.
But what I'm
It'll be
interested in
interesting to
is
see what number 2 and number 3 are.
yes, yeah, and there's a bunch of like trailing ones beneath that as well. So, what
Okay.
do you think the disparity is going to be, though? How many
Well,
more nightclub venues when overtime's do you think that'll be?
honestly, I think casinos are pretty up there as well. Given that a lot of people want to focus on the game, but they also want music in the background.
Yeah.
So I would definitely
I'm-
put casinos as pretty up there on the scale.
Yeah, I can agree with Vox on that one.
However, as for that though, I know that there's a lot of festivals out there for DJs too, so shows and performances definitely are pretty high too.
Yeah,
because
like-
everyone just wants to share their thing, and it kind of spurned the existence of raid trains, which it's just been everywhere recently.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
It's like one thing I've noticed is that obviously, yes, there are quite a lot of nightclubs, but I feel like there are like this might sound a bit how do I say this? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think there's too many.
I agree.
Yeah, there's
There
a
is
lot of nightclubs.
there is way too many.
How'd you solve that?
Because it's like you get a new venue that crops up, and they're not even surviving 2 months before they have to shut down.
I can get stats on that actually.
I mean, that's actually pretty fair, yeah.
She's got
That's pretty
stats
fair,
on
yeah.
that.
A lot of people are just kind of like going, new venues pop up pretty frequently, but then they can't make it, right? Usually it's because they can't pay the staff, or it's just there's too many big name venues that already pop up on those dates. And it just there's no competition at this point.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
And it's sad that is actually the reality of it too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did say I've heard some venue owners even say that like it's a survival of the fittest kind of shit for that, because they don't help each other. They just want to become the best venue, right? And there are some out there that even open up multiple venues, same owner, but they just want to be out there so much and expand so much. They open a multitude, and
Oh yeah,
either
then they
some of
have
them
their
will,
whole
yeah,
empires and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
a lot is
it's
the
like,
first one that comes to mind.
yeah, it's like there's one I can name right off the bat. Lewd Inc.
Looting
Oh, yep,
does it,
that's
yeah.
another one.
There's
They have a city,
also,
right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that there's also another owner that does actually have multitudes of venues. Yeah. I do believe he currently owns 4 venues currently that I can remember they still open.
I think that's a testament to a well-planned venue owner success if you're able to keep that many going and still have it be like a household name to a degree. That's
Yeah.
respectable to like an insane degree.
Do I fall under
Oh,
this
without a
list?
I don't know.
At one point, maybe. You didn't have an empire, but you definitely had a couple wildly successful venues, so yeah.
It's definitely a struggle to just find staff for it.
It's
I
the
only
staff,
do it
yeah.
because FC people want to do more
Yeah.
venue stuff, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's go.
But I think that is the biggest crux for any nightclub or venue of any kind. It's the staffing, because if you get staffing in, and it also depends on how many times you're open, people can easily get burnt out because no one knows everyone's story, right? No one understands everyone's situation in the game and what they can bring. Like some people can burn out quicker, some people can last longer, some people don't mesh with other people. There's always complications to venue opening.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with these future episodes coming up where we're talking to staff from venues, we can get more insight, especially for the venue owners that are listening in on these episodes. They'll be able to understand more of why what role is in like a decline or it's in an upswing or whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, this also falls too to like bards and DJs. You know, like when we perform, sometimes we do get burned out, and there are places that it happens that DJs cannot perform for some various reasons. You know, they might just be too burnt out. They're mentally not stable enough to handle it. They're having situations that impact their capacity to do the work. And for some DJs, you know, sometimes they just get passed on the rug. It's totally fine. People understand, but there are places that will not understand, and that blame the DJ for not being able to perform.
Yeah,
And that, although it's small now, it is a problem that has been started to be noticed by a couple of higher end DJs, and it does also impact the name of the venues in play, which kind of sows a little bit of discord in the community because of it.
yeah, and we're all human, and of course we're gonna get burnt out sometimes, and people should try to be more understanding of it. But I do know that there are people that will just you know what I'm talking about.
But I think that's what defines a good venue owner and the capacity they have to bring a staff to light is if they can get past the need to want to become the greatest venue on their server to the clout that follows in, that they can actually see the humanity in what people go through. Like if the DJ has a problem, something's happened. It's not getting angry at the DJ that should fix the problem. You should be concerned and understand that you might need to find a replacement. You might need to change something, but it's not the DJ's fault unless you find out the DJ has lied about something and is performing somewhere else. Because there's some that do that and it's not right, but again, we can't control the outcomes of certain people in this community.
You know, the irony of that is somebody that was supposed to be on this podcast said they couldn't make it because of IRL, you know, stuff. And then as soon as the podcast start, you notice that they're streaming DJing somewhere. Like, oh, okay.
Hey, like I said,
Spicy.
you can't control what people do.
I know,
you can control your own actions. You control your own things, and it's also the fact of where you have to stand in this community as well. Like your image, people has always been assuming that the image is the biggest thing, right? And it's always rep and clout. That is the two biggest enemies I believe in this community, because if people get too much of that, they can get really greedy with it, and it takes them away from what they really want to do. Unfortunately, it's something that's inevitable because of the growth and how things started and how much traction it's been getting lately in this community as a whole. But I do believe that at some point things should regulate back to a sense of balance, and which is where I'm hoping it falls into place.
I'm hoping so as well. And then there's also no pet was harmed. I truly hope no pet was harmed, but he said, or they say that I'm the worst band in 𝐑𝐚𝐝𝐢𝐨. Who is that? What band is that? If I tell them they're wrong.
Well, my brother in Christ, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The Bards of Light.
Oh, Bards of Light. I know who that is.
I've heard them.
Oh, and before I forget again, these are the homes for the DJs. We kind of got off track there for a good minute.
Oh, nice. I was pretty much right on the casino being up there, yeah.
Yeah, casinos up there, lounges up there.
Lounges caught me by a little bit by surprise, because that's usually, like I said, lounges are pretty much daytime venues, which is not a bad surprise. Well, it's not a bad surprise. If that's possible during the day and the DJs can play there too.
Maybe.
It
It's
does
not
mean that there's
completely
a
off
lot of...
base.
Yeah.
I never really see
Considering that's
daytime
only
lounges. I
4%.
see lounges are basically have been evolving in the direction of nightclub V2. So I'm not that surprised to see them up there.
It doesn't like, if you think of it in the grand context of things, there's 1,300 current venues. 87 isn't a lot for that unique combination.
Yeah, because this is global stats, right?
Yeah, this is global. I think maybe what some people might be tagging themselves with this for is, you know, when they're kind of like streaming music and they've got like the synchronize link going. I think a small number of those might be them as well. Or I think where they've got like the YouTube sync links or something.
Yeah, I've seen that in like 2 lounges I've been to. So, and there was also a really famous one on Aether that did that too. Those sync things. That was a lounge.
Wasn't that C9?
I don't remember the name of it. This has been years ago.
Okay.
They also had those not the bards, but the dancer performers.
Yeah, I
really
remember when
curious.
that started, but it was very briefly.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept that going. Those were some pretty amazing shows to see.
Yeah, but it's the idea that they had to go onto another website for the playlist to play,
Yeah.
and if people weren't on the website or they couldn't get any access to it, the dances just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, that'd be a good one for Twitch. All right, you know, get on there, play some music and dance to it.
Yeah, but I think it's why also some DJs have incorporated dancers to the music. So like when some specific songs play, it happens that they just start dancing to that song.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
So I did get curious at these stats, and I was wondering, okay, what May cafes are getting Twitch DJs in?
Oh yeah, that is a
Oh,
good
and
question.
there are
Hey,
6
look,
venues that
hey,
apparently
look,
have
if it's a
marked
rock,
themselves.
if it's a rocker cafe, I'm there.
So they are Mystique in Crystal, Kitty's Play Palace in Aether, Infinity
I haven't
in
thought about that in
Light,
years. Totally.
Blue Diamond in Crystal. They're more a bit of a host club than
Yeah.
May Cafe, but they're linked in. The Violet Room on Primal, and the Dead Lumps and the Dead Lobster, which I really like the description for theirs. They wrote the description of theirs as the worst venue imaginable. We do what everyone else does, just significantly worse.
I
That's right,
respect it.
completely free court. We have Nabazoo torture chambers, the best DJs on the data center, giveaways for large sums of money, and free paintings of your character, all just really bad. But they're the best DJs in the data center, guys. They're the best DJs in
Hey,
the
they
data
got a
center,
Doom.
but they're just
Oh,
really bad.
oh, okay,
Oh my God.
okay. So can we get a link to this? Because I've got to see this venue at some point.
Mm-mm.
Like this venue gives me like vibes of like what North America would have Karen's Diner.
Wait, which venue is
Oh
this?
my
Like it
Authentic
just,
God.
hopping.
it's so good, it's so terrible, it's good.
Yeah.
That is Dead Lobster, and that one is doesn't currently have a recurring schedule. They have an unscheduled
Oh,
venue, so you'd have to go and join their Discord and
No.
oh, it didn't.
see when their next opening is.
You need to send me the link since links are broken for
Oh,
people.
yeah.
All right, let me just copy this link for everybody. All right, this is the crazy venue that we're talking about. That's probably gonna be a lot of fun. I need to put that on my list.
That's basically it for statistics. Does anyone actually have any statistics that you want me to go away and find out?
I'm
You know
pretty good
what?
with
I
what I'm
actually
here.
have one. How have the number of nightclubs evolved over since the website's creation?
Oh yeah, there's like some sort of
Huh?
scale showing like the increase of
Yep.
or no. Oh.
Yes, there is, but I caveat it with some of that growth is our own growth. So as the site became more popular over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, or as the site got into more data centers over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, a good bit of that growth will be that as well. But over the course of the last couple of years, I think it's been quite stable. Have a look.
Yeah, I think after it expanded to all the data centers and gave a little bit of time, it's stabilized a bit.
Okay, so this is globally, and I'll send it over to you, Anna. Here you go.
Oh.
So I think we can definitely attest the first year.
Oh man, okay. This is gonna be
I'm gonna have
interesting.
to explain this one.
All right, so like, what kind of graph are you guys expecting here?
Well, it depends from the range of what year to what year.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It looks like 2021 to current.
So I think the first year will probably have the biggest influx, given the fact of what people wanted after the COVID stuff. So I would imagine the influx at the start is big.
And then after the influx, what do you think is looks like.
Honestly, I would believe it'd probably be stable for at least the second year after that, and it would just kind of start gradually going down. More stabilizing, as I would use the term.
Oh, okay. Anybody else want to take some throw their 2 cents in the hat? Nobody?
I get the one for Bards as
I'm
well.
just curious.
All right, well, here we go. I'm going to throw it up on the screen so you guys can see. The venue counts for nightclubs over the last couple years.
Damn. Completely opposite to what I
It
thought.
hit a plateau.
Oh my god.
That influx at the end, oh damn.
So the first half of this is a massive mix of the site taking off, because obviously it had to start from 0, and as
Yeah.
we indexed everything, that's how long it basically took. So you can, that is the majority of that growth, but it is actually, I believe, and I can only be anecdotal about this, that over that period, that same period, venues took off quite drastically.
Yeah.
They really went in, like, I don't, like, now we've got 13,000 venues. I'll probably say we probably had no more than 200 back in 2021.
Yeah. But then again, the website is kind of where everyone goes to check if there's a venue they want to kind of hang out on a specific day. Like, is
Yeah.
something open? Where do we want to go?
Yeah, I think
And that's,
right
that's
now,
the fallback, yeah.
right now, since mid 2023, it is that, and you can that's, it's pretty much reliable there. So I think you can probably say from mid 2023 is what we want to really go on in terms of influence. But it does stabilize. It does definitely stabilize. Bards is very much the same. It had a little bit of a bigger growth in 2022, so it grew quicker than Bards did in 2022. But it stabilized around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's still some wild statistics, though. And speaking of some wild stuff, I guess, let me go ahead and just do this, because now we're gonna start taking some questions from the viewers as well. So if any of you watching have any questions you'd like to ask about the music scene, bards, or DJs, now is the time to do it.
I currently have an ad running on your channel right now, so I'm wondering if that's for most people.
Oh, is that? I really should.
Does that
Making
happen?
cash money. Leave him alone.
No, like.
Oh yeah, I'm just like when the ads stop, I guess we'll have to repeat that they can ask questions.
Yeah.
I guess you did put it in the chat though. So.
Yeah, I don't see when the ads run, so I just assume that they never run.
Nah, Twitch
Okay.
forced that shit recently in one of their big sweeping changes, I believe.
Yeah,
Wow.
I just put mine at the lowest setting possible. So I do not need. It's like, oh, you can earn with ads. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into my settings and stuff later.
Is this ad money gonna pay my sub? If not, I don't care.
Yeah, no.
No.
I don't think they have
You
enough
don't
to pay
pay
the
my
sub.
sub, Twitch.
Yeah, do we get a share of all this ad revenue?
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Hey, look, if
You
the
taking
ads,
cuts
yeah, if the ads is set to pay my sub, I'm good. I'll take that. But if it doesn't, then you can put that shit to nothing.
There was 2+ minutes of ads a little bit. Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it does
was
that.
pretty long.
It's like almost 2 to 4 minutes of ads usually pop up, one after like in big numbers after every hour or so.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah. Now there used to be a way you could drop it down to like maybe 30 seconds. But
then it
they
would run
have,
off, right?
but then they're like, oh no, we need more ads. So they just kind of fuck that up. And like at least the minimum I think you put is a minute.
Oh, okay. Well,
Wow.
I apologize to the viewers for the ads. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah. It's kind of another way for Twitch to just force you to get a sub so you can just see without ad.
Yeah, that's still kind of. Oh wait, I thought you were able to skip ads if you were like a Prime.
No,
Yeah.
not anymore. Unfortunately, they took that away. You can give your free Prime sub to someone to skip the ads for their thing.
Mm.
Oh, that's.
But it all comes down to subs because remember, Twitch takes 50% of every sub you gain as their currency, and then you get the other half.
Okay, well, that's good
Right,
to
someone
know.
did do the
Well,
math
now that he's
earlier
thoroughly
saying it was
demoralized,
Yeah, now that I've been broken down and kicked
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the face.
Fatalis had done the math
Actually,
on it with the DJ program.
yeah,
Yeah, how we take
25,
another
50.
25% out of our 50, so basically we only get 25% of our revenue out of the end,
yep.
Yep.
and that's why DJ program is like such a shit show. But if you don't have the DJ program and you're a DJ, you have a higher chance of getting hit by the copyright.
Even though I don't do VODs?
Even though, yeah, the DMCA doesn't give a fuck what you play. You're playing music and they just spot that you're playing music, they can shut you down.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that I guess that's why Faye wanted to talk to me later. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because
I'll
that's
get
what
that set
that's
up.
why that's the only reason why I joined the programs initially. I didn't want to lose my shit. I don't care how much I make as much as I just want to bring the music to everyone else.
Now I'm gonna be honest, as a new person with like my sub count, I don't make shit. All right, I look at like 7
Well, you
cents.
also just started.
Yeah, like
So
that's
you
why a
can't
lot
look
of
at like the goats
I think
right
that's
now.
why a lot of DJs have like side gaming accounts too. They just kind of go like, "We'll make the money there."
I'm not in it for the money though. I mean, I just like to have fun.
That's a good mindset. It's a good mindset to go by though.
That's also why I don't try to push for like subs or whatever the other things are. Like I just don't care. Like drop a follow. That's all that matters to me.
That's the end goal. Unless you're high enough on the radar to be kind of partnered, at that point you should be pushing at least for views. It's the most important part.
Yeah. So, but I'm not gonna get no 75 concurrent viewers because that's the only thing I need to reach partner at this point.
Hey, listen.
Actually,
That's wishful thinking. You got to keep your hopes up.
the bottom floor for partnership is not actually 75. It very much depends on your category and then what your community looks like. There's so many there's so many factors they take into things like horizontal growth and the whole 9 yards. So it's not really 75.
Pest coming in, of course, but there. Thank you for the bring up the DJ thing. Yeah, do keep your house DJ safe. Let them know about it. It is their choice in the end whether or not they want to join the program. It's just with the program, you have a less likely chance of getting hit by the DMCA.
Yeah, nobody likes a DMCA.
No, they don't. But that's also because Twitch has just been hard assing on it because their news project is such a big thing. It's going to make people happy, but then DJs, if we look at it monetary wise, which is not a big important thing, but it's the fact that we get paid less than any other streamer on their platform right now.
Yeah.
So if you go into the program and doing DJing, it's primarily because you want to spread that music.
Or you're heavily invested and you've already grown on other platforms and this is just where you can find this person live type scenario.
Oh yeah, like for instance, the best example of that is actually 𝐸. 𝐸 streams on Twitch, but he also has his own software website called Party, and he's partnered with them, and he dual streams on both platforms, so we know where to find him if we need to find him.
Well, that is interesting to know.
Just as a beware to smaller streamers though, if you are an affiliate with Twitch, you can't do that type of thing. It's literally written into your contract, so you should be very, very careful.
Yeah.
It's fun to want to multi-stream until Twitch dings you for your contract, and then suddenly you've lost pretty much all like monetary value in what you've built up. So just as a big warning of be very careful with that type of thing.
So I can't stream on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time?
No, you can't.
Not without.
Twitch owns the content
Just
for
make sure
X
they.
amount of
Yeah,
time.
you gotta make sure they don't know.
Well,
But if you're planning on growing, that type of thing becomes really hard to mask because they will eventually find it.
Yeah, we'll see. My workaround is I just do the podcast on Twitch and then I just save the video and then post the video on YouTube. So it's not technically streaming on both.
No, that's just a VOD upload.
Oh,
yeah, which is fine.
So-
And there's no
I
music.
hate
And there's
the
no music
opposite.
in your podcast, so it's fine.
Somebody.
How are they gonna make
Scared the
music out of
shit out
people's
of me.
voices?
Holy
The
fuck.
fuck?
Hello, Flanders.
Hello.
Oh, that's Flanders.
Oh, you made it to the party.
Hey, there's
I made it to the party.
Woo!
Also, yeah, to all those that were stuck in the advertisement beforehand, we are taking questions from
Hey,
the
yo,
viewers. So
what?
if you have any questions
What?
for us, please feel free to ask.
I think I'm just gonna stand purely
Just
because
look
of the
tall.
fact that my yeah, I'm
Just
just
look
gonna
tall
look
and
tall.
imposing.
For
You
once,
know,
I'm
I have a
taller than you,
question for our
Vox.
bards.
Hey, look, why
Like,
don't you just ground
genuinely, what
sit on the chair
inspires
and you'll
y'all to
just
like
crouch?
keep going?
Overall,
Like,
just
what's your current driving force?
The what?
I have such an endless list of songs to make that even though I've been doing this years, I'm never gonna get to the bottom of that list. So I'm even just that, just trying to
What's the one
make
song
new
that's been
sound.
driving you nuts for the longest time that you've been meaning to make, but just the stars have not aligned?
Baby Shark.
Oh
Oh
my
God, no.
god.
Probably a song called Time from a band called Winter Sun. It's like this kind of like extreme metal, but it uses a lot of like synth and crazy drums and crazy bass. And I've got like 70% of it pieced together, but I keep having to like, find a drum line from one place and a bass line from another, and making it from scratch would just take me a year. So that's probably the hardest one that I'm trying to work on, trying to assemble all the pieces for.
Yeah, what about you, Sky?
Um, yeah, I can't really think of one specific sort of song that I have trouble with because I'm pretty quick to abandon stuff if it's not working out. Um, although there are a bunch of songs that I wish I could find decent sources for. Those are, I guess, those are what we're really looking for.
Is there a MIDI out yet for Dance Kid Dance by Shinedown?
Oh my god, I haven't heard that in years, bro.
Wait, what do you mean? That just came out like 3 weeks ago.
No, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time's fucking weird. Don't look at me.
Yeah, that's always a challenge whenever there's a brand new song like that, because if you're trying to find a MIDI from something that was made in the 80s and 90s and people used it on the old web way back in the day, you'll probably find a million versions of it, any Metallica song or anything like that. But stuff people are making nowadays, there aren't a lot of people that even use MIDI, so you either have to make it yourself, or some people will commission MIDI makers to make a full MIDI that then they take and convert to something that works in FF14, because it just won't exist for stuff like that. Don't really make MIDI files for a lot of things anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need them on websites, because that's just the way the old web just used to use MIDI as new music, because you couldn't play MP3s and WAV files or anything. But now they've kind of fallen out of favor. We probably use them more than just about anyone else on the web that I know of. Maybe karaoke machines and FF14 bars.
Oh, we've also got some questions from the viewers too. First one is Kurt asking what made everyone want to run venues in the first place. Not everyone here is a venue owner. Most of them are just part of the entertainment
We
workings.
could ask. We can answer the question now. What made us go into the venue scene? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, that's an easy answer for me. The social group. Just getting to know people, really, just to talk with everyone else.
how did you find it? Did like you have a social group already and they
I
just pulled you along to a venue?
I saw a Party Finder, actually. That's where I started, and I kind of just was curious on what it was, because it wasn't a Party Finder for content. So, but there was there was the mentions of words giveaways, raffles, and stuff. And usually when I see those, I'm like, okay, so it's something kind of competition based. At least that's what I thought. So I headed over there, and I met these people, and I started talking with them, and I turned out that it was actually a club. And I was curious on how they ran this stuff, and I kind of just lingered for a while, and weeks turns to months, turns to years, and now here I am stuck in this endless circle, and I just can't get out of it. So, venues.
My one was similar, actually. I think I discovered like someone would, when people do shouts across the big cities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one of, I think it was Karma Cartel at the time over on EU, because I was only on EU. I took a look at it. I thought, this seems new. Let's give it a shot. So I did, and yeah, it was a case of I never expected it, but I kind of like it. And then, yeah, since then I've just discovered it more, and then yeah, that's also how I eventually got into DJing as well.
What about some of the bards here?
I started FF14 on a console, so I remember going to a couple of old venues when I was trying to play on a controller and I could barely talk to anybody, and I'm typing out things one at a time, and I thought it was intriguing, but it was really miserable to try to interact with people when all you have is a controller. But, that's kind of when you're like, oh, there's really something to it. And then later on down the line, I started making music before I had any intention on playing in a venue anywhere. But people that knew my songs just asked me to play. That was probably my first few gigs were just, hey, we heard your music. You want to play this? Probably because they heard me playing in town or maybe downloaded my MIDI somewhere.
That's a cool way to get in.
Yeah, I guess I kind of got into venues in a similar way. When I first was just playing midis on my own, the Bard community is fairly small, and you kind of get to know people. So I would go out to different venues when I see somebody I know is playing there, and I would just occasionally I would get asked, "Hey, do you want to join in?" Do a couple like open mic nights, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
That's fun though.
Yeah, I think the place that the fight club that I play at now, I started going to used to be called the Monochrome Maiden way back. Like a lot of that same management ran
Oh.
that place.
I remember
And I
that.
went in there once, just like when I was just a newbie to the club scene, and I heard somebody playing one of my songs, and we ended up talking. They were like, "Oh, I love Nightwish," because they were playing a Nightwish song. And I love running into Nightwish fans in games, so we just started talking music, and now they're one of my best friends, and now a member of Hold Gang. I just started playing in that club
Oh,
pretty much every week as just you don't have to pay me. I just want to come jam and talk music, and then it just became a regular gig.
if you like Nightwish, you
I
should
love
probably reach out to
that.
Zev or
Oh yeah,
Zevrax.
no, Zev. Yeah, Zev and I have talked Nightwish quite a few times.
Yeah, a lot of his music is Nightwish.
Yeah, Nightwish and Muse were both huge fans. We share a lot of our stuff back and forth. He's one of the editors on my Bard Metal site too. I always like hearing what he's up to.
Also, we got a question for DJs. Seems to be aimed at. What are the red flags that a DJ can see from a venue to cause them not to want to work there? For me, myself personally, it's just drama. If your venue is known for drama, I'm just gonna stay away.
That's kind of a question I think you
yeah.
could answer
I'd
generally as
say that is a thing for both DJs
Yeah.
and bards.
It's just
Yeah.
we want to bring our stuff out to the light, but we don't want a toxic area or a toxic environment to play it in.
Yeah.
But if I had to nitpick out specifics, it comes down for me to how the venue treats its staff.
Yeah, that is also
Because
really big.
you can often tell a venue has its problems by how the staff reacts, how certain people in the staff may be reserved about sharing some things with you or trying to approach to converse with you, and how some people who are like hosts and hostesses, they're forced to approach people despite the fact that they may not be comfortable at first. And when you spot things like that, even as because I go as a DJ, I go in relatively early in a venue, and I kind of scope the venue out, right, to try to get a feel for the vibe of the area, to what the staff would want, what the patrons want. And when I start seeing that kind of weird feel in the air, I'll play the venue still one time. And after that, I will usually mark it on my own personal red list to like, there's something going on here. I'm not familiar with what's going on. I don't ask details unless I have absolutely need of them. But it's just somewhere I'll be a little cautious around.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, most times when I get this feeling, it actually turns out to be true. and someone in the staff always eventually comes out, and we hear about it, and then at some point we're like, oh, well, okay, that's what happened.
I'd say something. I could probably say that's one of the things for me. But another thing for me would be like how the venue is run, in a sense. So, like, say, because I've known where there have been venue owners that have hired DJs or bards and have treated them as if they're nothing, basically.
Yeah.
They're treating them as if you're just on a spreadsheet kind of thing.
Yeah, and then there's
And
also
not only that, going back to what Vox said about treating the staff as well, that kind of falls into that category. So, which in the end would cause, as Vox said, drama.
Yeah, and you guys remember that time when there were some venues that you would go and perform at, and like after doing the performance, the venue just say no, you don't get paid. Especially for
Yeah.
like bards and stuff like that, they go and perform sets with bands, and then owner just be like, no, we're not paying you.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I haven't had
this,
one of
this
those,
was
I don't
years
think.
ago though.
I've not.
is-
No, there's still a few venues that do it now. I've actually come across quite a few,
Oh,
but I'm not going to name names.
yeah, we can't be outing people.
Yeah, I'm not going to out them, but there are some venues that still do that, as far as I'm aware.
That's
What
so
is the going rate?
demoralizing. Like if you're bringing somebody in as auxiliary staff, there has to be some form of payment process for them.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah, I've
What I-
never had anyone do something like that to me, but I would think the bard community is small enough that if someone was doing that kind of thing on a regular basis, word would spread really quickly.
Yeah.
What is the going rate? 'Cause it's my understanding that DJs is more in like million per hour kind of range. Bards
Yeah.
are
So
kind of like half
so
a third of that.
yeah. So current going rate for DJs is on average 1 million.
Per hour.
Million per hour. Yeah. You do get some venues that will pay less, which is understandable if obviously they don't have the guild to fully pay it. Most DJs will accept that if you let them know. It's like me, I didn't want when I started, I didn't want venues going out of business. I said, right, I'm only going to charge a quarter of that, 250,000. Which I did. But even then, most of the time, I'd say no. Keep your guild. I don't want it. Just to help out the venue that little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I don't take any type of payment and stuff for my performances.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for me, it's like I heard that the norm was 1 mil. And normally I do take the charge of 1 mil per hour, but it's only for like venues of more that have been more active for the longest time. So we know they have a way of sustaining guild, at least in their work. But I have performed for newer venues for free. I have performed events for free. I even have this rule that if I come out late or something happens in which I perform a little later at this venue, I take it for free because it is my mistake. I was not on my schedule at proper times. They'll still try to toss me guild anyways, but I usually just tell them you can keep your guild if you want. It's just I will not be taking a pay for this guild.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, what about the bards? Like, what is the going rate for bards right now?
Oh my
That
god, it
varies quite a bit for
depends.
me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have the statistics for that. I'd be curious, but you know, I've played places for nothing, and I've played places where you get, you know, tipped in the tens of millions at the end. It's really just, you know, 1 or 2 million an hour, I guess you could say might be a going rate. But like, if a club, especially a newer club, doesn't have that, or if you go into a newer club and you just want to give them some exposure, you know, it's not a deal breaker. I don't think there are probably very few of us that do it for the gil.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the relationship you build with the venues. In the end, it matters, because then that means that you have a good relationship. They want you back, and
Yeah,
that's the
like some of
important.
my there's a lot of places I love to play, and if they didn't pay me, maybe don't tell them this because I'd hate for my bandmates to not get paid. But if they didn't pay me, I would play it for free. It's just a fun gig every single time. But it's also just kind of part of the thing. You pay people for your time. I don't want to just take. If we played for free, then other bands get mad because maybe they think they should be paid for their time, and they should. So we take payment, but it's not a deal breaker. It's just it's all part of the RP almost of just getting you pay the band half the time. You end up
Yeah,
buying drinks and buying out the bar, and all that money goes right back to the venue anyway.
yeah. Like, there are some people I say yes. Everyone's different, right? Everyone has their different take on the gil and such. But for me personally, it comes down, like, if I get paid in gil, cool. It means I've got gil in game I can spend on something I might like in the future. But the just having the people come in and really vibing and enjoying the music is what really matters, because then it means there's a chance that I get to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like we're all ultimately just having fun, and like even if it's not going to make me any happier to make my little video game number go up a little higher. If I'm not having a good time, why am I even logging in? It's all just about the fun to me, really.
oh, I need all the 50 million guild mounts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True,
it really
true.
all should be about the fun, which Pastel Sophia was saying. It's like, I know a lot of businesses run things like businesses, but it seemed super robotic and wasn't what they thought FF venues should be about.
Yeah.
And that's
Well, it
Yeah,
depends on the scale that your venue is at, because when you are smaller, you do have the luxury of running it like a little mafia business in the loosest sense of the word. But like as you scale up, as you hit XYZ milestones, you either run it like a business or it does not run. That's the unfortunate reality for the behind the scenes part of that.
I have to disagree with this. Not entirely. Yes, there is some business elements that you will have to consider, but I was able to run a really big venue for a long time, and half of it was business focused or whatever, but majority of it was community focused. I even worked as bartender and everything just so I can engage with every single person that came in the door.
This I agree with, because like for me at Florette, half of it, yes, is kind of like business wise, in the sense I make the advertisements and other things and also do a payroll on Google Sheets. But other than that, majority of it is honestly community and just being able to get to know my staff members, know the guests that come through my doors, whether or not they're regulars or not, or they just come one time. It's about understanding the different types of people that come into my life because of this project of mine. And that's at the end of the day what I see it as, a project, a fun thing that I do on the side other than my real life things, because that's the only way it's not going to stress me out or make me think like, oh, okay, maybe this is more important than it is, but it's really just fun at the end of the day.
Yeah, and Pastel clarified that it was more along the lines of treating people as merchandise versus as people, and I can say that it has happened. All right, I even did
I don't understand people that do that. Like you invest into your staff, and then your staff will in turn invest into you and your project. Like that's just fucking heartbreaking to read every time I hear about something like that, really.
Yeah, and I'd heard so many horror stories about it that I actually made a post on the FFXIV venues Discord in the owner section as a
Yes, you did make that little reminder.
Yeah,
And
that
I was like,
human
what?
decency
You
thing.
actually do this?
Yeah, that's been
Yeah, I mean,
there for a while.
some people act like they're solo playing a management sim, and all the other humans are NPCs in their world. I've seen that in a
That's
few venues over the years.
crazy.
Yep. I've also seen venues rise and fall with owners with that same kind of mindset.
I've seen a lot of venues kind of kick off purely because they need to make money, and it's a very, very small subset of venues that actually make gil. Very small, especially if you're not a
Wait,
nightclub
y'all are in
where
this
the
to make
numbers are
gil?
quite small.
Right, you guys make gil?
I met a lot of people. I
You
mean,
guys
back when I
make gil?
first did, Back when I
I'm just
first
here to
did
set Gil on
indexing,
fire. Gil doesn't exist.
yeah,
I'm
most
always going
people,
broke because of these people. I swear.
For real.
it's just a big burn. Venues are a big burn. If you're trying to get into venues to make gil, it's possible, but don't expect it. You really have to go into it anyway for the fun.
I think if you want to make a venue successful, honestly, but from experiences that I've seen, like the venue itself will not make you your gil. It's you have to have something else that gets the gil in venue, that then the venue can thrive.
It's like your venue has to have a value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a venue I knew of, they used to run maps. Back like the most recent, the best map, the highest map on the radar at the time, and they used to run that, get all the items they could inside, give it to one person, that person would sell all those items. So the guild that would be taken from that would be transitioned into the venue.
Yeah, we did something similar like that where we would have weekly map nights, and we even had the weekly nude raids where we would just dress down and go and do the newest alliance raid, just butt ass naked.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Good team building. But the thing is that maps were a big thing because if you had an item that was really hot on the market at that time, you could just go and take it, put it on the market, get that guild, put it in the venue, and then the venue would function. So the staff could still get paid, and it'd be still like separated equally along all the staff members who actually work those nights.
One thing I can say though is that I know there are some venues that are known to RMT their gil.
Oh yeah, that's relatively common occurrence
I knew
these
that'd be
days.
end up sentence.
That's always going to be unfortunately that's always going to be a case somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's an expectation.
And it's also why NA has such a like crazy just influx of gil and how everything costs expensive these days. Just too much gil. There's too much gil in our market, and there's no way to get rid of it.
It's kind of a bit of a cultural
No,
thing as well, because
I'd say
like
there's-
part of the reason
Yeah.
that you go into a venue
There's-
is for the social part of the game, which means you're not playing the content part of the game. So you don't really have that much of a gil source. And I think they're most likely the people that do it more.
Yeah.
There's not. I can probably speak for EU when I say there's not much. There's not as much gil in the European data center than there is in the North American one.
Yeah.
But they do tend to still do big, massive giveaways of like 100, 150 million gil, and I'm just sitting there thinking, how is this possible? You're doing this every week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's
you
every
must be-
week, then there has to be a source that's coming in with gil that's not from game gain.
Submarines.
So
Yeah,
that
like-
at that point,
Even
that's
that would-
So
even
that's
that
at
would
that
not
point.
I think it's North America as well, but in the
Oh.
venues I worked at in Europe, nearly all of the owners were funding it by way of like a sponsor or themselves. But either way, it was all coming from submarines.
Yeah. So that's the thing with NA. NA is without a doubt one of the most saturated for gil because of how many RMTs have been out there. So much so that you can get something on EU that when I went to EU and I checked out, you can get basic meal function, night milk, very cheap in EU. You go to NA and it's at least 20K minimum for one.
Okay,
It
but like
is
we gotta put in
ridiculous.
perspective. You're from Aether, I'm from Aether. We're gonna like put our shades on for this because
Yeah.
you know we can't compare a Genova market board to like a Brynhilder market board. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's definitely. But
Ether
the thing
kind of
is,
does go crazy because it's
Yeah.
all the raiders on there, all the high content. I can say for myself too. I love myself some high content. I'm a raider at heart, but it is
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
But it's the saturation
I
of the
think,
gil. Our gil has been so saturated. It's because of it, people have a lot of gil to spend, and most people try to then outbid and just regulate out other people, and just buy their stock, sell it back for higher price. So it just causes it to rise up and rise up and rise up until someone who is attempting to troll the market boards crashes it. And then everyone buys that in bulks, and then they just raise the price back to whatever they want.
I love watching the market board to fuck people over. That's my personal.
The market board
that's
is
my
probably the
personal
one piece.
hobby.
the market board is one piece of content that basically is always savage mode. There's never
Yeah.
an easy mode to the market board.
It's unreal depending on what
It's
you're doing.
so fucking funny.
Like I honestly believe that only items that actually exist that should actually have that level of high-end gil, things like, for instance, the fallen black angel wings. They are a hard item to get a hand on because of how you have to get them, the amount of work you have to put into them. I can imagine how high the gil rate for that goes. And then you've got normal white angel wings or fey wings from other things, but they're also high on the spectrum too, because people just don't know where to get them. A lot of people on the market board, I believe, start using the idea of they don't know how to get this, and so we'll sell it for a high price. I remember when
king, no matter what.
Yeah, I remember when the Emperor's New Clothing setup was
Oh
hard.
my
No one knew
God.
how to get their hands on it. It's just super expensive, and you realize when you start crafting, it's right there for 200 gil a piece, and you're like, why did I spend 200,000 for a 200 gil piece?
Oh, they're not even
Yeah, I mean, you
200
mentioned
gills,
Night
though. They're
Note.
like 20, 50 gil.
Yeah, but they used to be 200,000 because no one knew how to get their hands on them.
Oh, yeah, on the market board,
Like
it's
that-
still
Yeah.
expensive.
And then people
That
figured
Night
it out.
Note you mentioned was the same way. You can buy that from a vendor for like less than 100, but people
Yep.
will bark it up.
Yeah, because they think people don't know. It was like the whole thing with iron ore. You could buy the iron ore in apartments from the foragers there to craft, but people sold it for ridiculous amounts because they're like, oh, I really toiled really hard for this and I mined this, and it's like 99 stacks just for a massive amount of money. There were YouTube videos on how to make easy gil just selling this.
Well, I'm
And-
guilty of overpaying for stuff from that I can buy from a vendor just because I'm lazy.
I mean, fair.
It's a
That's
convenience fee.
Yeah, at this point,
It's
it's
like-
kind of where it falls. Like people are too lazy to go figure it out by themselves.
Yeah, I could figure out. I can look up what vendor sells something, go track them down, or I can just buy it right now while I'm looking at it on the market board.
Ooh,
it's
The-
convenience
we've
fee.
got a question for the panel.
Yep, Jeer came in with a question. I want to know about the stats for the bar owners and venues. We actually already have these stats, and I'll pull up the global one again. Wait, that's not the right thing. That's not it. That's not it either. And don't worry, I will find it. I will figure out what I did. Wait, what was the question?
How many of the bar owners / venue owners actually have DJs at their places?
Like depends the kind of bar, I suppose.
Oh yeah, let me
There's
get.
like lounge,
Okay, so
there's like
NA.
lounge bars and
Yeah, let me get that stat back up since I changed that thing earlier.
On the panel.
Yeah.
oh, just out of us. None of us are venue owners.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the overall.
I
We had
used
the
to be.
statistics.
Managed a couple.
I mean,
I used to be a venue owner.
I'm technically I'm not a venue owner per se. I have helped manage some, and I am in the potential possibility of opening up a venue for like once a month. I would most likely try to help DJs and bars alike if I could get my hands on them.
Yeah. That'd be the same thing with me.
Yeah, like
'Cause
depending on
that-
what we need.
Yeah. Because I know
I'm on
Bards
the
started
complete
out
other
the
end of
scene.
the spectrum. I'm not gonna lie. I've been Bard only since the get-go, and I don't really think that's gonna change. Love my Bard team too much for that.
Yeah.
I think every
Honestly,
venue that I've been in is
that is 100% understandable.
Yeah, like when you've got that passion for that one kind of group, keep to it.
Yeah.
It's usually the best thing because like DJs are good, bars are good. We are a community just of people who love music and want to spread that music out there. And there shouldn't be an inherent difference between all of us because we each have our place where we do
Yeah.
our thing.
Yes.
And it's also good not to step on the foot of the other one who's in another place. Try not to go into their space and try to take it over.
Yeah, so basically
Isn't
we
that
all just need to get
exactly what
along.
DJs did to Bards and across the whole spectrum, though?
Yeah, a lot of DJs did do so because they wanted to spread out, and they tried to. It was like a hostile takeover for a while.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the one thing about DJing that I'm not like happy or proud of, because it shouldn't have
Mm.
happened. We should have been able to coexist since the get-go.
Yeah, I think I started DJing after that whole fiasco. So I'm not really too familiar with what happened on that aspect. But I think that if that is what happened, then yeah, I think the DJs at the time were way out of whack.
Well, I believe, if I remember correctly, was the idea of the grass is greener on the other side, as that the context that they used. The fact that they're not limited by the octave, they're not limited by what the
Yeah.
MIDI file can do. They have a variety of the entirety of all the music, and like I believe the biggest argument was, oh, bards can play Freebird, and DJs can do it too because they actually have the song.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like DJs were trying to portray back then that like we're just better because we can do the whole spectrum, no problems. But at the same time, it takes away from the core of what the bards were doing, because they were in venue. They could talk with the people and the crowd while they performed.
Well, why don't we ask the people who are here right now, since these guys have been here for a long time, what was that takeover like? Y'all have been here long enough to have seen that shift over. What was that shift like in the early days?
Mm.
I mean, for me, it was just I had less clubs that I wanted to go to. Not that I hate DJ clubs or anything, but like I'm just more of a bard person, so there were less options for a while.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Like me,
I think most of the people here though came in like after that whole debacle with Kimura and the PVR and then the takeover of DJs, and
unfortunately
that
I
war
was here
between the
for
bards.
like both, because like I said, I did start as a bard first, and I got to witness the DJ takeover firsthand. And it's just DJs targeted larger venues, and from these larger venues who have more pull, they were just able to get to everywhere very quickly.
Oh yeah, because I remember back in the day, like when I first got or turned into like a big venue and stuff in the scene. Since I was a nighttime, they assumed that I was a nightclub, but I was a lounge. There would be DJs that would come through and be like, "Hey, can I play here?" And
That's initially how they would start.
Yeah, and I tell them that no, we're a bard place, we don't do DJs, and then they would get so mad and just like,
And I think the biggest thing for that is those kind of DJs would usually go on like places with forums and stuff and start just sass talking the venues.
Yep.
These specific venues, and that's how they started getting their appeal. Some venues just took them in at first because they didn't want to get the heat put on them because they weren't supporting DJs and shit who were trying to make a place. And it's where the bad blood between bards and DJs kind of spiraled, because at this point, venues where DJs were in it did not want bards because they didn't want the backlash, and bard venues didn't want to fuck around with DJs either because, again, the backlash would just be there. But I'm one of the few kind of wishful, whimsical thinkers who think that bars and DJs are able to coexist, because a venue that could run both at the same time means that when someone walks in, there's not just footprints, like Altana said, is that just not just, you just don't just hear people tapping around dancing. You can hear music from the bards, and if you want to tune into something else, then you have the DJ link that's available on demand.
Yeah, that would be like a great little equalizer, but then there's also like the venues and stuff with payment and stuff like that. Having to pay two different performers like that, it would really cause a lot of stress on venues.
Yeah, but there's also the fact too that you can alternate one night venue, one night DJs, one night bards, and you keep it that way as well. So like there's a fair amount for every one of them, so that when a DJ, like that would be another good alternative way too for venues, is that you want one, let's say 1 week you open up one time a week. 1 week would be bards. People come in, they vibe to the bar, so it gets a different kind of crowd coming in to vibe with your venue. And then
But
the
that's
next
a
week it's
huge
DJs.
variance. That's a huge risk to take.
No,
That's
but
It's
huge.
a risk. It's a risk, but most people who will attempt to do something that impacts a change in this community, which is the biggest change that would need to happen, in my opinion, someone needs to trailblaze that idea in
Somebody's
place.
got to bankroll that idea, hopefully.
But this
Yeah.
actually,
Holy
I mean,
crap.
you
this
think
can.
you've had so you know DJ Yams. He actually played at a venue, and then Bards have taken over from him, and he's kept his stream going whilst the Bards are playing, just listening to, just having the Bards on.
True.
At same
True.
time.
I'll just mention he does do. He
Yeah.
also does do that one thing, the Bard Fest thing,
The
where he gives
EGT.
them a yeah. He gives them a prize, and it's a whole bunch of Bard groups that just kind of come together and just perform. And it's
Yeah.
like
Yes.
this. It's like kind of like the Grammy Awards for like bards.
Yeah.
But
I've
yeah,
also seen it firsthand of him being there at one of the clubs that I work at as a photographer. He was there doing some of the music, but also when it came down to like the halftime show, because it was Super Bowl themed, funny enough,
Yeah.
um, it was a bar dance group going on, and he still had it on of just congratulating them and also announcing the death roll for them and everything else otherwise. So he's very involved in the venue.
Yeah. But see, that's where it started. It's like DJs that do that, for instance, which are big names, and that's a way that coexists. And if a venue would eventually open up and come in with that, it's a high risk, yeah, but it's also the fact that if this brings up a common ground for both sides, it can mend or potentially mend a lot of the rift that would be between the bard community and the DJ community to the damage that's already been done. There's no way that the slate's going to be wiped clean. That's wishful thinking for sure, but for a men that we can coexist, it would be a possibility.
yeah, try to amend and all that from over the years of hostility.
Yeah,
And
because
there
because
was
I've listened to plenty of bard groups, and I don't go to many venues with bard groups there because one, I just don't pay attention to the party finders as much anymore. But if I actually went to a place that a bard group would be performing at, I'd be sitting down listening to the music just to hear what they're doing and how the craft has evolved.
yeah, and I think having both within a venue, even if it's like alternating or like one set then a different set, that actually brings in two different types of communities together, which adds more retention and
Yeah,
stuff to your venue. You know what I'm trying to say.
but it also is a thing too, is that the venue owner who would ever run a venue like this would have to make it well known that we do take bards and we do take DJs, so don't expect it to just be a one type of thing. And if you don't like the other, you like try to at least show an open mind.
Yeah, maybe things will get better in the future, which would be real nice. And speaking of Yams too, I actually ironically reached out to him about being on this episode, but of course I'm not big enough, so he didn't even see my message.
Yeah, Yams is well, the thing is that Yams has so many messages sort of passing through. He's relatively busy from what I gathered.
Oh yeah.
With
Yeah, it's like
with Yams,
Secretary.
you are more, with Yams, you are better off speaking to Remchar with that aspect.
yeah, that's their manager.
Either booking through Remchar or
Okay, let's see here.
go through his booking page. But even then, I think for a podcast, it would be better to go through Remchar.
Yeah, because we are aware
think
that because
sound for
Yams
it.
has made vlogs before. We've seen Yams like actually perform beyond just DJing. He's done vlogs, he's done gaming streams. He does a variety. So
Yeah.
podcasting wouldn't be out of the idea. It's just Yams himself, I think, has so many messages coming through that he might just skip through many of them. But his manager keeps a pretty tab on everything that would be requested of them.
All right, well then maybe one day.
Yeah,
all right.
potential.
So we got Pastel making a really good point here. For the new venue owners, how would bards and DJs prefer them to reach out, and what is the easiest way to find or contact? So the venues Discord is also good, but then there's also like crew Discords for DJs, which is great for going into to put in requests for DJs. Then even the bards have their own Discords. Like Eltana has the Bard Metal Discord, which
And then there's Mysidia.
yeah, the Mysidia.
I know some bard groups have their own card websites as well.
Yeah, and invented how to book them.
Yeah, so I think if you scroll all the way to the top where we did the introductions and did a shout out, there is one for Eltana and Skinner that have a card link. So if you're looking for a bard, I think they have links to their Discord thing.
Yeah, as for DJs though, it comes down to preference. Some DJs have managers that will handle them. You can normally see their managers when they stream. Some other DJs will be, you can directly message them through Discord and they will definitely handle it with themselves. And like Runa said, there are crews or teams that exist for the DJs out there. myself being along with Fatalis, the owners and founders of the NCV, whom we have a variety of people who are just wonderful and very talented, to which are always open to perform.
I'm not wonderful and talented. What are you on about?
You stop lying, or you're going back into cat cage.
Oh,
Yes,
not the cat cage.
I will go back in the cat cage.
Ayo.
I like it.
But also I feel like from a different perspective to answer that question, if it was in case venue owners not being sure how to, well, DJs wanting a job or bars wanting a job, not sure to contact the venue owners themselves, at least from my own experience, just direct message. Or even sometimes, like for me, I put on my hiring form like a little section, if you want to do this additional role or if you want to do this full-time this is your main job type of role, there will be a bard
Mm.
section because I prefer bards over DJs. Nothing against DJs. I can never
Yeah, no, that's
focus so
fine.
much that I just mute the
ev-
stream after like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it does
yeah, no,
come
that's
down
fine.
to also
Everyone
that
has
too,
their
yeah.
preference.
Yeah, like I can understand why bards would have an appeal for that too, because despite the fact that bards have their instruments playing and everything, there's a lot less noise. I was basically specify with there's a lot less noise to overstimulate. So it's more controlled as to what a DJ is. They play music and they will sometimes remix or sometimes alter the sound and kind of fidget with the music, which can make a lot of noise. And that can sometimes give people headaches. It's why, like I said in the very beginning, it's good to have a high energy and then drop to like kind of like a slower energy so they can actually just relax those stimulations. But I can definitely say without a doubt that bards have it easier on that spectrum because the energy they give is comfortable enough to continuously listen to, and also just quite pleasant because it also gives an interaction with the people performing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I love Bard so much.
Yeah.
It's always good to keep a variety of stuff on hand for if you need, if you feel the vibes are chill, play a chill song. If it amps
Yeah.
up, start playing something more upbeat. But
Yeah, and like
it's always good to have like
yeah, and like when
just
I
as many
barded
backup
down, I think when I barded down back in like 3 years ago, back in Old just vibing, didn't have a place to bard at. I just played in the middle of the street, and people just came up, and it wasn't people. There was some those trolls that come in trying to request a song that they know is just trolly as fuck and is pretty much everywhere already. But then you got other people that just came in and just wanted to talk, and like we talked music. That's basically the only conversation that was going on, like what your favorite band was, if you had a MIDI file for that band, and if you did, if you could play for them.
Yeah.
Lots of nostalgia going through my head right now. But
Nostalgia's good.
yeah, and if there's
Honestly,
any other questions that any of the viewers want to ask, we are still taking questions.
I'll say honestly, I do want to go to quite a few more bard venues.
Yeah, I definitely would need to keep an eye out too on the party fighters for those because, like I said, I don't, so I don't really notice these venues anymore.
If you're looking to get in contact with like music talent, whether it's bard or DJ or macro dancer or dancers, 90% of the time you can just figure it. Like let's talk about bard in particular, because in festival prep, something we've had to do is really reach out to an unfathomable number of just acts across the board. 80% of the time you'll just find them in the wild, just shoot them a message. Most of your success as a venue owner will stem from being the person who shoots the message first, because you don't because you're never going to know if they're going to say no if you don't take that shot. When it comes our very recent experience bringing on DJs for the very first time for an event was interesting because there's just such a variety in the way DJs like to be booked, but something that they're very, very, very upfront about is somewhere buried in their card or in a Discord, there's going to be some very blatant this is where you book me, please click this. There's going to be something somewhere. Most DJs are taking bookings and they'll make it known to varying degrees of visibility. There will always be some form of trail where you can follow and go, yeah, this is how I can get you to come play for me, or this is how I can schedule you for this event, or something along those lines. So it's not like the manual isn't missing. It's just the same method of sometimes you just got to reach out and take that shot.
Yeah. And there's also the fact too that if like you often see book me software and like applications and stuff during bigger DJs, because they usually have less time to spend just reading their messages, so they have someone doing it for them. And then you've got, yeah, that's my friend playing that. And then you got me here who like I do all my self booking. I used to have a manager. I didn't fall off badly with my manager. It's just I no longer socialized with anyone just because they did all the work. So I took it upon myself and said, you know what, I'm going to do this and book myself to socialize with people and try to talk out more with them and get to know them more and just make connections. Because in the end, given the fact of what limited time I have doing this, I just want to make sure that it follows through to the next generations that follow after, that they can keep doing this, either being DJs or any pursuing of music in this community. Is just a win for me.
This is also why I don't have a manager either. I like to engage with people.
I thought it
I
was
mean,
'cause you
I
kept scaring them off.
Oh, okay.
Just you needed, he needed some fucking wood for his work, so he needed a table.
I mean, I do have a manager, but I have no preference as to whether people go to my manager or directly to me. Most people I know will literally just come straight to me because they prefer to speak to the actual DJ, not the manager. But yeah, literally most. I can probably speak for all DJs when I say most of us will have some sort of like message that constantly comes up in our streams saying, hey, if you want to book us, this is how we get booked, or this is how you can book us.
Yeah, like that's true. A lot of DJs do try to make it as easy as possible, because overcomplication means that there could be a lapse in the communication, and fuck ups happen. Which is again why I put, like, if I fucked up, I will do the set for free. But the thing is that me and many other DJs will do it as simple as possible. We do not want the overcomplication because everything else that we have to set up and do is complicated as is. And that's kind of where, like, these people who also do the book me's and have the managers do all their work for them and stuff like that, it's good. It helps them. But it's also the fact that there's a fine line between you let the DJ manager do everything and you do nothing and disconnect from everything else to focus on what you're doing, or you keep a contact with your manager and at least the communication is still solid so that you will actually meet the people you're going to work with and try to build a relationship there still.
Yeah.
I agree. Also,
so that is like the most important thing. The most important thing I think for any person, any performer in this community is just the communication to have with the others.
Oh yeah, do we have any more questions or anything before we start working to wrap things up for today?
Yeah, given the fact that maybe in a virtual space this chair is killing my ass.
Yeah, they're not the best chairs. All right, they're made out of not wood.
They're made of something.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone likes a bit of wood now and again.
Oh,
Oh my god.
This podcast after dark.
Oh. All right, so
sorry, I had to say it.
Look, someone had to.
Someone had to, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It went from one
How
podcast and
I've
it started
always
going
been
about
asked
fucking
that
condoms, and the
question.
next one's talking about wood. We needed this to fit this place.
Exactly. Chaotic fun as always.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think my roommate made a point.
Oh,
Is the
right,
next
Aruna, sorry,
podcast
I
needs to have
need
a
to show
Funyun.
you your condom design. My bad, I forgot.
Oh yes, the condom. Can't forget about that.
Also, you used the wrong
Mm.
again, my guy.
Hey, yo,
What?
What?
Savina, you're all Gucci, honestly, no stress.
For the website, you used the wrong link again. Remember, I changed it to custom domain.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
not
Shame
update?
him.
I must have not updated it. I'm sorry.
Now you're good. I just was laughing when you did it at the start. I was just like, oh, probably busy. It's all right.
You should kill him.
Yep.
I should
No,
just
Quite
jump in real
extreme.
quick, just be like, how dare you?
don't worry. I will update it afterwards. But anyway, it was actually amazing to have all of you wonderful people here today to join us for this podcast. DJs, Bards, even got Kana in.
Yeah. I'm sorry I wasn't here for half of it.
Well, you were here for the other half. That's what counts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Joys of just joys of traveling in Britain, I guess.
I wouldn't know.
The trains of Britain.
Yeah.
We have to write a
It's a
song about it,
train.
Scott. Or Flannis.
Hmm?
Yeah, we need to hear that at your next set. A song about trains in London.
Oh, I got a perfect song. I know a perfect song for that actually.
We'll just make
The
sure everyone is
London
inside the stream going like, yeah, we're gonna make it play for you.
no the London Underground song. Some people might like to get a train to work or driving in a Beamer or a Merc. But yeah, I'm not even kidding. There's actually a song called the London Underground song, and it just takes the piss out of the London Underground.
I need you to play it. I need you to play it. I will hop in your stream just to hear that.
Elflan's potential reward redeem.
Oh,
What,
yeah.
London Underground
The
redeem?
London Underground.
Oh god.
Oh, that's great.
Ow.
Okay, as a reminder to all of the viewers out there, I'm putting the Discord link back in there if you want to join the Discord to keep up with information on the podcast and everything, because we will be posting everything in there, as well as links to different things and our guests. Also, as a reminder, please don't forget that the Moogle Treasure Trove event is coming up this Wednesday, starting on February 26th, lasting all the way until the patch of 7.2. Not that many great.
7.2 coming out.
Hey,
March.
at least I know what I'm grinding.
Yeah, there's a couple decent things in there, and then
Oh, I meant the Moogles, not the actual thing. No.
oh.
Oh, what, you're gonna grind on Moogles?
Yeah, I'm a Dark Knight. The only thing is that big blade, small Moogle, win-win.
My
Fair
goodness
point.
gracious.
And then we've also got the Little Ladies Day starting on March 3rd for a great outfit, so be sure to check out those as well.
Little Ladies Day, what is that?
It's
I've
like
never heard of that.
it's like
Little
Valentine's Day, I think.
Valentine. Yeah,
it's a
little
Valentine's
Valentine.
event.
No, that's
Except
the
it's all about the ladies.
Oh.
yeah.
Fair. So basically what they call, I think it's called White Day in Japan.
I think so, yeah.
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 Dead ass.
Hey, look, there is a new glamour. That's all I care about.
Yeah, the new glamour is
No, I
noise.
want the glam.
Okay, because for me, the end game
Haven't
is the
seen
glam.
it.
Oh yeah, let me just drop those links too for
Fashion
people.
endgame.
So we got the Mog, and then we got the Little Ladies Day event. Those are the links to those if you want to check them out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think this has been a
Ooh.
great little podcast, and I'm so glad that all of you joined for this.
Yeah, thank you for hosting it.
Yes, thank you.
I
It was
got to meet some
really
new
fun.
people and people that I
Great meeting you.
no.
Oh yeah, and
It's been fun.
yeah, it's not gonna end
Sure
for a
has.
while. If you've just seen the list of our next episodes, it's gonna be fun going forward with the staff members and venues getting their perspective on things. Ooh.
Well, at best I'll probably tune
What's
in.
the next one?
Yeah.
What's episode 3?
Next one's greeters, no?
Yep, the next one will be
Greeters. Okay.
greeters.
Oh,
Lovely.
yeah.
After we just had that conversation in the owners chat about greeters.
I was
I know,
just
that was
thinking
funny.
about that.
Yeah.
I can half expect one greeter is going. I do it like a Walter. Welcome to this venue. Get your shit and get out.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yes.
I
there'll probably
mean,
be one of them. One of them.
All right. Well, thank all of you for joining us on the stream and everything. We're going to go ahead and end it here. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to follow so you can get notified whenever we do the next stream every Saturday at 3 p.m. EST.